Allah, who is one.
الله الصمد
Allah, the eternal refuge.
لم يلد ولم يولد
He neither begets nor is born,
ولم يكن له كفوا أحد.
nor is there to him any equivalent.
Students and seniors, please stand up for national anthem. We'll begin the session. The first session is on USMLE and the moderator is Dr. Taqi Azam with me and Dr. Rahat Naz. So Dr. Rahat Naz and Dr. Taqi Azam will be the moderator for the first session. Let's start. We also have online with us Dr. Rizwan Naeem. Okay, let's start with the first session. The first session will be taken by Dr. Noman Ashraf. He's the chair of APNA Young Physicians Committee 2023, Director Young Physicians Residency Program, Director of Fellowship Program, working at Kansas City University in Graduate Medical Education, Associate Professor of Clinical Psychiatry at University of Missouri. Thank you, Dr. Noman Ashraf, for joining us, and we don't want to delay any time. Let's start with the first presentation, and the first speaker is Dr. Noman Ashraf for USMLE.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me clearly and can you see my slides? Yes.
Yes, we are seeing you as well as hearing you.
Okay, great. Well, first of all, congratulations on the Golden Jubilee, and thank you, Dr. Rizwan Naeem, Dr. Rahat, for inviting me to speak about the Young Physicians Committee of APNA. So I'll just try to give you some overview of what services we provide and how they can help you in your journey towards achieving residency or fellowship or your goals in the US to further your career. So basically, what the service we want to provide is to help our younger physicians from Pakistan, make them competitive for the US system, and any help that they need throughout that pathway, we are hoping to provide that. And then I'll break it down into how we are going to achieve all those goals. So we have the mentorship program, and the way we do it is that APNA has several alumni. All the major medical colleges have their alumni, like yours. So if suppose there's a student who reaches out to us for help with mentorship, for observership, for research, and we have members of those alumni as part of YPC. So the first line is that they try to work with them and try to help them out. And if there is more need, then the central committee helps out. There are also some medical colleges that do not have alumni, so then the central committee will take those and then try to help them out with their need. We also have affiliate organizations, and like we have in cardiology, we have for radiology, and we have, like, suppose one we have in psychiatry, Papana, that is very active. So they have a robust mentorship program, they have a robust research program. So if anyone reaches out who's interested in psychiatry, they have their own WhatsApp groups, and we request some of the members from Papana, they add them to the groups, and then from there, they provide them mentorship. So what we are trying to do now is, as you know, it's very hard and competitive to secure spots in the US system. It's kind of, we talk about there's a bottleneck. We have too many applicants who are applying for the spots and there are too few spots available. So how do you compete with the US graduates? And that becomes an issue. So we talked about it and we thought about it. Okay, by the time everybody comes to us, they're already residents. And at that point, we don't have enough time to really prep them and make them competitive. We try to do whatever we can, but it may be a little bit late. So what we are trying to do this year is we're putting together a medical students curriculum, and hopefully that'll be ready sometime this year. And then we'll share it with all our medical colleges in Pakistan. Basically, the idea is we are trying to narrow that curriculum gap between the IMGs and the senior AMGs, and that will include the topic that is specific to the US, like cultural competence here, diversity training, getting our students involved in a scholarly activity earlier on, QI projects, HIPAA training according to the US standards, medical ethics according to the US standard, the work ethics. So when they come here, they already know about it. And when they appear in the interview, they're able to talk about it. And it seems like that they understand the US clinical system, which now is becoming more important. As you guys know, the step one is pass fail. So the only score you got is a step two. So a lot of program directors are also struggling. How do we find out a good candidate? So then you really have to have other skill sets that you need to show. So we're trying to prep our students. So start the groundwork in their medical school, make them competitive, bring them out right after their graduation, and then so they can compete with the AMGs and hopefully have better chances of getting the spots. To achieve our goals for the ones who are here after the medical school is finished, we try to do monthly webinars and we try to do workshops to prep them. So we have already had one on rank order list in February. We are going to have another webinar on supplemental offer and acceptance program. The match this year is on the 13th of March. So SOAP will be opening right after that. So if somebody unfortunately cannot get into the program, they have another chance to go through the supplemental program. And so but they need to know and they need to be prepped for that. So we will be having that webinar on March 5th. And then after that, visa processing. A lot of candidates have questions about, you got the spot, you got the contract. Now, how do you go about processing your H1 or J1? So we have a team, our advocacy committee, that helps them out. And then what to do between match and next ERAS. So the people who didn't get matched are the ones who are applying for next year. How can you improve your CV? How can you make it competitive? We'll have a webinar dedicated to that. We do workshop where we help you guys do the CV prep. So we have done it different ways, but we break people up in different rooms on Zoom. And then there's a mentor, they're 15, 20 in one room, and then they go through different sections of the CV and help them out to prep it. Personal statement workshops, we have some sample personal statement. We also have some students share their personal statement, give our feedback, and then if needed, we also provide one-on-one mentoring on that. The mock interview, that's, I think, is very important. We try to provide one-on-one mock interview prep. It takes about 20-25 minutes of physicians, but we are very proud. Last year, we conducted about 450 mock interviews for the candidates who reached out to us. And then we're going to have a letter of recommendation and communication with the program workshop or webinar, because a lot of people keep asking when to send out the letter, when to send out the letter of intent, what to put down in the body of the letter. So we try to cover every single thing, all the aspects of what kind of questions you can have, and one webinar will be dedicated to that. And then we want to do in-person virtual interview prep, do's and don'ts. I think most likely in the future, you're going to have virtual interviews. After COVID, people found this is probably convenient, and still they don't want to have a lot of people visiting. So I think the protocol will still exist. This year we did it, and it's going to be virtual, but you may have in person, or some residents do second look and they go and visit the program. So you need to be prepped for both virtual, and then also if you go in person, what are the do's and what are the don'ts, and we'll go over that. Also, what we are trying to do this year, this is going to be a new program we'll be launching, is for early career physicians. So once you got the residency spot, what do you do then at that point? And once you come out of residency, what do you do then? So like providing some sort of guidance in their early career as well on professionalism, diversity, cultural competence, how to get involved in scholarly work, in QI projects, and then administrative and business aspect of medicine. We have a lot of our doctors in Apna who are entrepreneurs. They have their own businesses, so we'll bring them on and try to talk about that side of medicine as well and business. And then we have in-person seminars. So we have four big meetings throughout the year. So we have our spring meeting coming up in mid-March. We'll hopefully set up a consultation desk for people who are there in Florida and they have any questions. Then we have our summer meeting, which is usually that's the biggest one. We usually have about 3,000. I think this year we may touch about 4,000 people in that meeting. So we'll do in-person seminar and that would be live streamed as well. So we take questions. It's a hybrid one. We did it last year. It's very successful and you have program directors from different disciplines and you can ask any questions. So that's the one that's probably going to be the high yield. And then in fall meeting, we'll set up the consultation desk. Our winter meeting happens in Pakistan. This year it's going to be in Peshawar. So we are planning some sort of in-person event at Khyber and then also maybe at RMC. And then some of our members who go for winter meeting, if suppose they are from Karachi, they are from Multan, other parts of Pakistan, they visit their hometown and they would go and do in-person workshops in their own colleges. So you may have some who want to go and do some of the workshops at their own university. So that may also happen at the end of the year. And we are also going to organize a poster competition. We did it last year. That was a great response. Last year we had about 60 abstract. And the nice thing about it is that all these abstracts are peer reviewed by the faculty here in the US. So you can actually mention it on your CV as peer reviewed scholarly activity. So you get credit for that. We will see if we can even publish it. I'm trying to work with our research committee. It's not finalized, but at least there'll be a poster competition. It'll be peer reviewed. So if you guys, and we announce it, and if some of your students who are thinking about applying next year, this will be good for you to put it on your CV if you participate and get selected. We have had our Young Physician Guide, Road to Residency, for years, and it gets updated. The last update was in 2019-2020, and we have had a lot since then. And so we want to update it again. So we're in the process of doing it. Hopefully will be done sometime this year, maybe in the next 4 or 5 months. So then we will launch that guide too, and they'll just walk you through every single step of the residency application process. We have a robust observership, externship, and research rotation program. And I can tell you, I announced it 2 days ago on our Facebook page, and I'm sitting with 450 to 500 applications to review. So the response has been overwhelming. Of course, we don't have that much bandwidth to really help everyone, but we are hoping that we can at least help out at least 100 people this year. So we are trying to work with our preceptors, try to arrange rotations and see as many as we can. And then there are other avenues. You can always reach out to your own alumni. They may be willing to do some more. So there's always a way to work with people who could not get in the first round. And then also if the externship is available, externship is a little bit harder because it requires you to have malpractice insurance. You're working with the patients. So a lot of hospitals are not comfortable with that. So those are harder to get, but observerships are still available. They're harder to, because of the COVID, people had to stop doing it. So now hospitals have to revise their protocols. So we're working with them and trying to get them reinstituted. And then research, if someone is interested, and we have some members at YPC who are doing research, so we connect them with them, and this is how we give them the research experience. Our advocacy committee, I mentioned, they help with the visa processing. Last year, we helped with 329 visas for the residency and fellowship, and about 500 B1 for the observership and step 3. So if you have a question, about application, you can reach out to our advocacy committee and they can actually sit down with you and go through your application, see if it's done correctly. If you have a problem, it's stuck in advanced processing, you can reach out and we can see and provide you guidance. We have a very active Facebook page. I would encourage you to sign up to that so you can get the update. That's the only way we communicate with our students and young physicians. There's a QR code. There's also a link. So if you join it, then you will get all the notification of the webinars, their links and everything. That's the only medium that we use. And then we have our YouTube channel, and we post all our webinars on the YouTube channel. It's Apna YouTube, and you can get like say the rank order list webinar we did last month. That's available there. The SOAP, once we are done, it'll be uploaded, and there are seminars from last year. So everything gets uploaded there. So I think most important resource will be Facebook, and then you go to YouTube to watch the content if you missed anything. And that's all I had. Thank you very much.
So Noman, Assalamu alaikum. This is Rizwan Naeem. Can you hear me?
Ji, walaikum salam.
I wanted to make sure that you are available for some QA sessions.
Yes.
After this, right. Thank you so much. And we, Rahat, if you want, I can introduce Miss Elizabeth Ingram.
Just let me introduce you. What is your contribution has been to our institution and our, as an APNA president, and we a lot of your CV is very strong and long, but I'll just give some highlights that students will be interested in. Dr. Rizwan was the president of Students Union, and currently he is professor of pathology and director of molecular pathology at Albert Einstein College. So he's a very academic guy. He will get great, he's great resources for you guys. But I'm going to ask Rizwan to introduce Elizabeth Ingram, and she's going to tell you about the ECFMG program, and that will be a great benefit of you. Please pull out your pen and paper, get this information. If you're just listening, it's going to pass by and remember nothing. So please pay attention and be mindful and be present. Okay, Rizwan, now the floor is yours. Go ahead.
Can you hear me and can you see me? I was told that my camera is not on. So first, can you hear me?
We can hear you, but it's dark. Your background is dark. We can't see you.
It should be on now, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
On.
So Assalamu alaikum, everyone, and a special thanks to Miss Elizabeth Ingram, who's been working with us for more than a decade now. She's been to our programs all over the country, and hopefully we will bring her to Pakistan sometime soon. I know the last vice president visited Pakistan in 2007 or 8, something like that. But Miss Elizabeth is the vice president of ECFMG and has been very, very helpful for any questions, any issues related to ECFMG, and have a lot of resources to share with you. I think today's seminar basically organized to tell you what APNA has done, or resources APNA has available, which Noman has done a very good job. And I'm sure that we will have a QA session to explore more. And Miss Elizabeth Ingram will be talking about ECFMG. So can you share your screen, Elizabeth? Yes, we are. And I especially want to thank you for staying up too late. It's almost 11 p.m. in New York and East Coast time. So we will take questions for you immediately after your presentation, so you can go and have some few hours of sleep. Thank you, Elizabeth. All yours.
Thank you very much, Dr. Naeem. I have been at many APNA events and I've enjoyed each and every one of them. This is the first one I've done and from 11 p.m. local time, so this is a first for me. So first, on behalf of ECFMG and FAMER and our parent organization InTELF, thank you very much for the invitation. It's very exciting. Good morning, good evening, depending on where you are. My name is Liz Ingram, and I am with InTELF, and I am going to spend a few minutes talking about the resources that ECFMG has for those interested in ECFMG certification and residency in the United States. So I'm going to spend a few minutes talking about INTELF because you may have heard this new name, INTELF. What is INTELF? I'll say a few words about that. I'll talk a little bit about ECFMG certification, about our J1 visa sponsorship program for those who wish to participate in U.S. graduate medical education. I'll say a few words about performance in the match, not too much because we are fewer than 3 weeks from the next match. So the information that I have is about to be old, but it is an important time of year. I'm going to talk about 2 key resources that I would recommend to you, and then I'm going to talk about something new and exciting that you need to know about and prepare for, and that is called My INTELF. So jumping into INTELF, we announced in late 2021 that ECFMG and FAMR had worked very hard to integrate. Why integrate? Because we wanted to leverage our communal resources, leverage our expertise in order to do more for those that we serve around the world. And that includes physicians, medical educators, medical schools, medical regulatory authorities, patients, researchers, and we just felt we could do more through integration. And so we spent a few years doing a business integration. And when we were done with that, we said, hey, we want to announce this to the world. We are now INTELF. And what it does is provides a meaningful framework for us to continue to grow and diversify our services, opportunity to enhance our service, and making sure that we can meet the needs of our stakeholders, not only now, but in the future. So INTELF unites ECFMG and FAMR, its members, under a common vision. I have been with the organization for about 26 years. This is the first time that both organizations have been united under a common vision. The missions have been carefully aligned to ensure that they reinforce one another and provide synergies. And we have a new set of 6 values to guide our work, and that guides the work that we do with each other within INTELF, but also how we interact with you, the people who use our services around the world. One important thing to keep in mind about INTELF is that as members, ECFMG and FAMR created this identity. They remain distinct nonprofit organizations with their own portfolios of services. So ECFMG remains ECFMG and continues to offer services like ECFMG certification and J1 visa sponsorship. Moving on to say a few words about ECFMG certification. ECFMG is the only organization in the United States that assesses whether international medical graduates are ready to enter U.S. graduate medical education and training in the United States. It is not a license to practice medicine. It enables one to train. The requirements for ECFMG certification include passing USMLE Step 1, USMLE Step 2 clinical knowledge, and currently completing a pathway to demonstrate clinical and communication skills, and of course, primary source verification of core medical education credentials. That is the final medical diploma and the final medical school pathway. If you are new to ECFMG, to INTELF, and to the program of certification, the pathways are the alternative method of demonstrating clinical and communication skills in lieu of USMLE Step 2 CS, which was discontinued in 2020 right in the thick of the pandemic. Hard to believe that we are now about to open our 4th application season for the pathways. It still feels very new to me. But as of about a week ago, we had more than 24,000 international medical graduates already certified based on a pathway rather than Step 2 CS. Once the 4th application season opens up, please pay attention to important deadlines. You will have 6 pathways to choose from as last year. And there will be deadlines for the pathways application for supporting documentation that you need to provide. And regardless of which pathway you're eligible for and decide to pursue, every pathway applicant needs to pass the occupational English test. medicine. We expect information to be available within the next 2 months. The actual applications for pathways for individuals interested in the 2024 match will open late in the second quarter of this year. So a long view of ECFMG certification, the number of people that we certify every year, the number that earn certification, has remained right around 10,000 for well over a decade. Last year, these are 2021 data. I don't have my 2022 data yet. We certified just over 11,000 international medical graduates. I do know in 2022 that number is up by about 235. I believe the number is 11,413. But looking at last year's data was a significant increase, 24% increase over the year prior, over the year 2020. The number of medical schools represented by the physicians we certified in 2021 is 1,359, and those medical schools are located in 142 countries. And that is just a quick glimpse into the great diversity that international medical graduates bring to the U.S. healthcare system as they join healthcare teams, as they train and treat patients. In 2021, the last year for which I have data available right now, about 7.2% of certificants were citizens of Pakistan. Another important program and resource that we offer is J1 visa sponsorship for foreign national physicians who wish to train in the United States. The demand for ECFMG J1 visa sponsorship continues to grow, and that is a long-standing trend now that is about more than a decade long. In 2022, I do have 2022 data for J1 visa. We sponsored 13,822 J1 physicians. That's up about 5% from 2021. And about 10% of those individuals are citizens of Pakistan. And that number has remained relatively stable as well, that percentage. J1 physicians train in nearly every state, including the District of Columbia and Puerto Rico. And these physicians are really essential to US healthcare. The number of physicians pursuing a J1 visa is up 53% over the past decade. So a quick look at the specialties that J1 physicians train in shows that they continue to train and to serve in high numbers in primary care specialties. So in many ways, international medical graduates or foreign national physicians are frontline providers. Internal medicine, 53%, pediatrics, family medicine, just very critical to delivery of care in the United States. IMG performance in the match has remained strong through the pandemic years. And as we're coming out of those pandemic years, we are looking at another match in fewer than 3 weeks. This is a look at numbers that are about a year old at this point, but they continue to show very strong and competitive performance of IMGs in the match. The number of PGY1 positions, first-year positions, offered through the match continues to go up year after year. Last year, we saw a small decrease in the number of IMGs participating in the match, but we did see increases both in the match rates and the real numbers of IMGs matched. So that continues to be good news. We felt very strongly about supporting IMGs throughout those years with immigration issues, travel issues, and we think the results have been great, and we're looking forward to a great match again in a few weeks. I'm going to pick out 2 resources that I'll recommend for you. We have many. Please feel free to peruse our site. The ECFMG Reporter email newsletter has been around for probably 20 years at this point. There are about, I think this number is a little older, about 250,000 people subscribed around the world. And it really is a newsletter that we use to push information out to individuals who are interested in ECFMG certification and taking the USMLE exams as part of that certification process. and pursuing entry into USGME, the match ERAS. We publish on an as-needed basis. We never share your email address. I highly recommend that you subscribe and learn what's going on about ECFMG certification and the certification process. The other item I would like to share is our Journeys in Medicine blog, which is for and about J1 physicians, those foreign national physicians training across the United States in J1 visa status. It really is about their experiences, cultural exchange activities. We've had some J1 physicians return home and blog about their experiences there and their skills and their training that they brought back to the home country. It also can be stories by people in the USGME programs who host foreign national physicians where they train. Really is anybody impacted by exchange visitor physicians. So please check that out. We have our latest last week is Dr. Sandapan Shringji. He's a nephrology fellow, Brown University, and he wrote a very detailed blog entry about 24 hours in the ICU. So check that out on the INTELF or ECFMG website. Yep. So this is the coming soon, the new information that I want to share with you. During the second half of this year, we will be launching My INTELF. My INTELF is a completely new technology platform for everyone that interacts with our services, whether that be an ECFMG service, eventually for a FAMR service, but it really is one platform. It is a new platform. It replaces dozens of our applications, which are older and have been built over time. And it really reflects that multi-year effort that I was talking about that really led to the formation of INTELF. We are doing this to create a better user experience for those who rely on our services. I'll talk about some of the benefits in a second. But it really is for individuals, it's for medical school officials who use our services, anyone who verifies a credential for us, any applicant for any of our certification related services. One thing I do want to highlight is that we do expect a pause in services as we get ready to transition to My INTELF later in the year. So there will be a period of time still to be determined where we will not be able to offer services because we're turning off our online services, we're freezing that data, and we're moving existing accounts over to My INTELF. Very important that we have a static data set in order to do that accurately and efficiency. So we're going to start to really push out information and get the word out very soon about what you can do to plan ahead. If you will need any ECFMG service in 2023, please monitor the ECFMG website. There is a new web page published there last month. It's called Transition to My INTELF. It is one page right now, but it will be growing into a larger resource. And we really want to empower you to make sure that you have all of the products and all of the services that you need going into that pause in services. So plan ahead. Submit applications and access your services as early as you can in the year, and please keep an eye on that webpage. But all of that is going to be worth it because INTELF is bringing a lot of benefits. As we said, primary driver for doing this is to create a better user experience and to invest in the experience that those who use our services have. It is a centralized place where you will be able to access all services through a single online environment. One user ID, one password for all our services rather than separate accounts and multiple IDs and passwords. It will reflect a common user experience. There will be more self-service options, fewer paper-based forms, which is going to save time and enhances accuracy. This really is one of the more complicated things we've ever done in my history with the organization. You can see in this box on the right that if you are a user of ECFMG services, some of these might sound familiar to you. During the second half of the year, INTELF will replace IWA, our interactive web applications. That's where you apply for a USMLE exam, get a score report. OASIS, that's where you update your contact information. It's where you get an ERAS token. our ECFMG credentials upload tool, CVS, that is the method by which you can demonstrate that you are ECFMG certified. It's the certification verification service. For our institutional users, the ECFMG medical school web portal, there are 4 services for medical schools through there. My InThealth will replace that. EVNet, which is related to J1 visa sponsorship, and Epic Portals, which is credentials verification separate from ECFMG certification for physicians who are not going to the United States, but may be going from one country to another, and a host of other things. So I hope this gives you an idea of the scale of what we're trying to do and the enhancement that we're gonna need to make. And I strongly encourage you to keep looking at the website, subscribe to that reporter, because we'll send you all the information you need through the reporter. So that is a quick look at some of our services and our resources. If any of you are in the match in the next few weeks, we do send our best wishes for successful performance in the match. And if not, we look forward to continuing to serve you. So thank you very much. And I will take any questions.
Thank you, Elizabeth. As always, very knowledgeable, very informative presentation. So I have a couple of questions. I was please, Taqi, who is one of our audience, sitting in the audience, please take questions from audience also if they have any, and we can transmit that. But my question is that, and Noman can jump into that also, this certification or approval by FAMIR of Pakistani medical schools. That's supposed to be expiring soon, and I think the date is extended a little bit. So can you tell us what is the status is, and Noman can jump in for what APNA is doing to get that thing done. Elizabeth first, please.
Sure. So if I heard your question correctly, this is about ECFMG's recognized accreditation policy, what we're now calling the recognized accreditation policy, which we announced back in 2010 as a future requirement for ECFMG certification. And we recently published an update in mid-October of last year, that as part of the next phases of implementation of this long-term initiative, we will be reporting a medical school's recognized accreditation status in the World Directory, and also in documents that program directors, such as ERA status reports, will use and will receive about applicants. At this time, it will not affect an applicant's ability to apply or to be certified. And that is the very important point. So there is no stop. If your school does not have recognized accreditation status, there is no stop for you at this point. You continue to be eligible for examination and certification. I'll stop there and see what other information you need.
Noman. You're muted, Noman.
All those who are going to ask question, can you please stand up so we can ask you turn by turn.
Let have Noman jump into it, what APNA has done or planning to do for this.
So we last year we worked with the Pakistani government with the PMC to get the paperwork submitted. That did that, and then there was a visit plan. So now they're just waiting on the report and see if they get certification. So they're in that phase. So hopefully, and I think if I'm right, Elizabeth, we have till 2024 for this, right, to get the certification.
So the reporting on a school's recognized accreditation status will begin at some point in 2024.
Right. So we got about a year, and I'm hopeful sometime this year we'll hear some good news from them.
Okay, thank you very much. As a special thanks to you for enlightening our students and updating the information about ECMG. I'm one of the privileged, ECMG certified physician. I work in Arizona, so it's great. So I'm going to have some questions from the audience and relate to you, see if you can help us, and hang on for a few minutes for the question and answer. So any student will have
students, please stand up. Do you have any questions, or everything is that much clear? You want to ask some question? So everything is crystal clear?
I can translate for you, no worries.
बेटा सवाल पूछ लो, कोई मसला नहीं, कोई कुछ नहीं कहेगा.
So while the students are thinking, Elizabeth, I just want to, if you can reflect on the pathway program that is, what I understood is replacement of clinical skills test. If you can make some comment on that, what is that? The pathway.
So the pathways were, let me back up a few years, which seems like a few lifetimes ago now after everything we've lived through. So in 2020, the owners of the USMLE program, the NBME and the FSMB, made a decision to suspend the clinical skills exam. And for those of you that have not experienced it, the clinical skills subcomponent of step 2, USMLE step 2, was an in-person exam where you as the examinee, you interacted with 12 real human standardized patients. It was an exam that was given at 6 test centers in 5 cities in the United States. So not only did one have that close interaction with all of these standardized patients in order to complete the exam, one needed to travel to the United States to do that. And we all know the kinds of issues that pandemic caused with travel, with face-to-face interactions. And so after suspending that examination, the USMLE program ultimately decided to permanently discontinue Step 2 clinical skills. That was the exam that ECFMG used to demonstrate, to allow IMGs and to evaluate IMGs' clinical and communication skills. Are those skills appropriate for providing supervised care as a trainee? Again, going back to that ECFMG mission of evaluating the readiness of IMGs to enter U.S. graduate medical education, and certification is required to enter, for an IMG to enter ACGME accredited training in the United States. So we wanted to find a way to continue to preserve that important function of ECFMG certification while also allowing international medical graduates to continue to demonstrate that they had those skills. So we put together a program called the Pathways, the initial iteration of the Pathways. There were 5 pathways, 5 ways in which one could demonstrate those skills. In subsequent years, we've added a 6th pathway, which has broadened eligibility, but it really has been a success. It has continued to ensure the integrity of ECFMG certification. It allows ECFMG and Intel to continue to serve the U.S. graduate medical education community, to provide that community with an ample and qualified and diverse pool of IMGs from which they can choose. And I think that the results of the match show that's been a success. And as I said, now it is the standard. And we have more than, as of last week, more than 24,000 IMGs certified based on a pathway.
Wonderful. So I wanted to also ask one of our, supposed to be a presenter, but because of time issues, we did not. What I was told, Elizabeth, that at least 400 people have registered for this seminar to listen to you.
Wow, that's wonderful.
This full one hall is full, and there's a second hall which is upstairs from this in my medical school, and that is also filling it up. So with us also have Dr. Rohail Haider. Dr. Rohail Haider is a recent graduate. He's a second generation of our graduates. He's a recent graduate from U.S. Medical School and did his residency in internal medicine, and now practicing with his dad. And that's why now his dad can take vacation and visiting Pakistan if Kamal Haider is in the audience. So he's the son of Kamal Haider. Now he can take a lot of vacations. So Rohail, can you please just explain to these students what is your journey starting from medical school to residency? What important things these students have to keep in mind?
Okay. Yes. Rizwan, can you hang on?
Yes.
If you can hear us, just hang on for a second. I want to have one more time to ask students if they have questions. Otherwise, I really want Elizabeth to go home and she can sleep. I mean, she is in the home. She can go to sleep. So you guys have any questions? If not, Elizabeth, thank you so much for staying late up in Philadelphia. We understand that we appreciate. We would like to thank you on behalf of JSMU and our students. And please keep in touch and come again. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. Good luck with the rest of the workshop.
Thank you.
And we have a gift for you when you come to Karachi. I'll bring to you, inshallah, when we come there.
Taqi, we can't
But
hear
we're
you very well. We cannot. Your voice is
Go ahead.
unclear.
Can you hear me now?
No.
Rohan, can you hear us?
So in the meantime, you know, adjust this volume thing. Rohil, can you please see if you can talk about a few minutes? I know it's kind of late and you have a go to practice tomorrow morning also. So go ahead.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So hopefully everyone can hear me, and if not, so I'm Dr. Rohil Heather. I'm actually a physician here in the United States, in New York City specifically. My father was a graduate of SMC, and that's how I met Dr. Rizwan Naeem through my dad. And he asked me to speak with the students right now, mainly because I've gone through the residency match recently, and I've worked with and trained graduates from Pakistan, as well as, you know, both in my practice and when I was in residency. And so my experience, my personal journey was I did my college here in the United States. I went to NYU for undergrad, and then I went to a USDO school. I went to an osteopathic medical school in Erie, Pennsylvania called LECOM. After I went to LECOM, I actually did my residency in upstate New York in a hospital called Arnett Ogden Medical Center in Elmira, New York, which was a small community-based hospital. As soon as residency was done, I actually started working with my father in his private internal medicine clinic. And over the last 5 years or so that I've been, you know, either in residency or in practice, and I've been in residency here in the U.S., I've actually had the pleasure of training and working with U.S. MDs, U.S. DOs, United States IMGs, as well as foreign IMGs. And I've had a lot of IMG, mainly because my father take IMGs from Sindh Medical College and other medical schools into his practice to kind of teach and train them. The biggest advice that I have for anyone who is planning on applying for residency in the United States is we do look for scores, and I'll be very blunt. You know, we do look for scores. We do look to see how strong the candidate is, but from the point of someone who interviewed and rated medical graduates from Pakistan, I can definitely say that we look at, you know, their ability to learn. We look at their ability to progress while they're on rotations. I would say one of the most important things is finding a hospital or a location or a city or a site that you're interested in and going to spend 4 weeks with them. Going to spend 4 weeks with them, learning and training with the residents and showcasing your skills and your professionalism in order to really impress them, because that goes a long way. We, in my experience, when we were ranking our med students against other med students and deciding who we were going to hire into the actual residency itself, we really looked at the people who came to our hospitals and worked with us. That was probably one of the most important things that we were interested in. What I will also say is it's very important, you know, medicine in each and every single country is a little different. The way things are done in Pakistan is very different from the way that things are done in the UK, which is very different from the way that things are done here in the United States. One thing I would really strongly recommend to anyone who's going to spend any time in the United States is to get some of our review books that are available online and to skim through them. We have more of an evidence-based medicine than anything else. We expect you to be up to date with the evidence. Now, I did my 3 years of internal medicine. I'm a second year attending at this point. I'm still young. I'm still new at my job, but I'm still learning. And it behooves you to sit there and open up a textbook when you don't have the answer. And it is really your responsibility to call someone who has more experience than you and ask them for their opinion. And it's your job to open up to date or to open up Harrison's and read if you don't know the answer. And we look for that. And that's what we're looking for in a good residence. We don't expect you to know more than the attending does. We expect you to be able to learn and to take direction and to follow direction and to grow. Every single week, we expect you to grow. And that's probably my biggest piece of advice. The med students who impressed me the most were not the ones who walked in on day one and knew everything I knew. It was the one who walked in on day one, made all their mistakes, and by week number 2 didn't make the same mistakes. They made new mistakes, which is fine. But so long as they don't make the same mistakes. The most important thing is finding someone that I can teach. And that's probably my biggest piece of advice. That you have to constantly be growing and you have to be able to learn and absorb information like a sponge. That's what I look for when I went to go hire a resident for our program.
Thank you, Rohel. And you mentioned that you are young. Of course, you are young. You are a second generation. But once you get married, you're no more young.
Yeah.
So he recently got married.
Thank you, Srinath. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Rohel.
Thank you.
So any questions from audience?
Any questions from students? Sure. Please stand up and introduce yourself.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Sameen. I'm a first year student at SMC. And I was just wondering about IMGs. You've gone through with them in the application process.
Yeah.
What is the biggest, I would say, the biggest deterrent for them in their application? What has been the biggest reason that they've been denied or rejected?
So in the hospital that I was at, where I did my residency program, on average, we used to get about 1,200 applications per year for 10 spots. That's how many we had. So we used to get about 1,200 applications per year for 10 spots. We by no means were a very competitive program, but we were located only about 3 hours away from New York City. So we were pretty popular for people in the Northeast. We would interview about 400 of them, and they would be divided pretty much into mainly U.S. graduates and then a certain number of foreign medical graduates. Now, the biggest thing that I noticed in the biggest thing that I noticed in the foreign medical graduates, the IMGs, who were rejected was first and foremost how much experience that they had in the United States. If I'm looking at your resume, right, and you're coming from a training system that's different from my own, and I'm looking in your resume and I see that you haven't spent any time here in the United States, then I'm assuming that you don't know how medicine is practiced here. And I was, pretty stern and strict personally on that. I need to see that you spend time in the US. I need to see that you know what our medical system is like. Our system's very different from everywhere in the world. It really is. And so I need to be able to feel comfortable that I'm not going to be teaching you everything from scratch, that you already know, for example, what a CHA2DS2-VASc score is, or you already know what a heart score is, or a TIMI score is. You already know what a curve 65 is, or a pneumonia severity index score is. I need to know that you have at least been exposed to this. You might not need to know when to use it, or you might not know how to use it, but I need to know that you've been exposed to it. And I need to understand that, hey, at least I'm not starting from square one. I can do something with it. I can teach you. And if you don't know it right off the bat, I need to know that you're able to learn. And that's where coming to my residency program, spending a couple of weeks with us is probably the most important thing.
So
Thank you.
Well, I would say that biggest deterrent really is your score. So before you do anything else, I think your score is the number one issue. And second thing is your US experience. And I would say, as many of majority of you are a medical student, there's a big difference between doing a rotation as a medical school versus doing an observership as a graduate. So if you can afford it, if you can do something, that is the best thing to do. Is go and US visit and do some. And Numan, you want to add anything?
You have a question? Hello, Numan.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Rohan. Thank you, Dr. Rizwan Naeem. Thank you, everyone. So,
Numan, if you are there, I have one question. This is
Okay.
This is Dr. Yunus Ismail, and I know that APNA has you working as a young physician committee chair, and APNA has a very comprehensive program for the internship and mentorship So I just want you to just brief the students that at what stage they will contact APNA if they are interested in doing internship or rotation in US, and what is the pathway they will use. So the APNA mentorship committee and internship committee will help them. Because recently there are some changes and they are not accepting international graduates or non-US citizens for the internship program.
A very
So
good
can you
question.
give these things to our students?
Very good question. Thank you.
Right. Okay.
Dr. Numan.
So ideally they should, what Apna has right now is electives against they're harder. So for elective, what happens is your medical school has to have some sort of contract with a school here. So like AKU has a contract with one hospital here. They have a contract with another hospital in Canada. So their students directly go over there. Now, students can reach out to us, and the medium would be our Facebook page. That's where all our, or you can go to Apna's main page and there is a section on YPC. We have our email address and they can send us email through that. That would be the medium. Try to do elective, as Dr. Naeem was saying, in third year, fourth year. You can reach out to us and the resources we have, we can connect you to those people. But again, electives are harder now. For observership, then the second number would be externship, and then that's going to be harder than observerships. So there are some programs on the East Coast, they still offer externships, but they charge for it because they have to do your background check and they have to get your malpractice insurance for that. So, but we can provide the list of that and we can see if we know someone, we can connect the students with them. The third one, the lowest hanging fruit, is going to be observership. So those are available through us, like say 15 to 20 a month. So we try to help people out. So like we, on our Facebook page right now, we have the form that people can fill out, and then we go by first come first serve basis. So if you filled it out and you meet the criteria, and the criteria, one of the main requirement is going to be that you have a US visa. You have to have that. Otherwise, we can't hold a spot for someone just waiting that I may get a visa, and we can't, because those preceptors have their dedicated time and there's so many people. So you have a visa and you reach out to us and you have other requirements met, then we can hopefully help you out and connect you with them. The medium would be our Facebook and through Apna.
Wonderful, Noman. So what I hear is that if any student is interested in coming to US, they can go to Apna Facebook or website and fill out the information. And from there, they can also get resources available through Apna. So yes, as a medical student, you are much more encouraged. Number two, deterrent for many students in Pakistan, especially female students, is if they come here, spend a lot of money, they don't have a place to live. Apna, different chapters in Apna, like New York, Texas, and Chicago, Apna house, and those Apna houses are very what you call available for mostly for male students. But Apna physicians in different cities have sponsored or accommodated female physicians also. So if you are in residency or rotation in certain place, you should contact us and we should be able to find you, help you with connecting to that region.
I think. I believe Dr. Rizwan Naeem got disconnected. He said he's going to rejoin in just a minute.
So I think we are back, and I wanted to see if there are any questions. Rahat and Taki. We cannot hear the speaker.
As you can, give it months, give it all your efforts, and try to score as much as you can in this exam. Yeah. Yeah, so this is the most important thing when it comes to USMLE exams, and a lot of students actually keep asking me from junior batches, even from my batch, they keep asking me how to manage finances. This is too costly for us because of the current discrepancy in our rupees and then dollars. Like it becomes really hard for candidates to even think about writing exams. So I have few suggestions for you. First of all, there are a lot of myths associated with it, like you need to have this much US clinical experience in order to be selected. You need to have, a lot of investment into the process. But I believe that after this discrepancy in rupees and dollars, the most important priority for you is to get EC-FAMG certified. And to get EC-FAMG certified now, you don't need to travel to US. You need to just write your USMLE Step 1 and Step 2 exam. Along with that, you need to clear your OET exam, and you'll have to apply via any pathway, and you'll be EC-FAMG certified, and you are eligible to apply for the match. So I would suggest you to do this investment while you are undergrad and go and write your exam. Like it's in Pakistani rupees, it's like around 10 to 12 lakh estimated. $1,000 is the EC-FAMG fees to get certified. So I would suggest you to get EC-FAMG certified first of all, and then after that you can actually plan on doing your rotations as per your finances. And I think students now need to be more creative. When they are making choice for themselves, there are a lot of ways to I started writing for a philosophy journal, and they would pay me a good amount. If you are a creative writer, you can write for any journals, any magazines. Along with that, I have a friend, she's running this Instagram page, and we also have a friend who is really good at regression analysis and SPSS, and the guy actually does that for, it is not unethical to do get paid for it. So I think you need to find out different ways, go and make your own money. But planning is the most important thing. If you plan for something, you actually do anything to achieve that. If you are not, you are indecisive and you are that after writing your USMLE exams, or even if you're preparing for exams, there are a lot of things going on in the head, and we are like thinking how to get US clinical experience, which experience is more better, if we should go to the university by paying them hefty amount, or we should go to some clinic LOI, or we should go for getting experience while being undergrad, or we would go after our graduation. So I would suggest you focus on your exams first, and in the meantime, keep searching for rotations. There are two types of rotations that you can do. One is called elective. There is more value that's placed on electives. Electives are done before your graduation. You cannot do your electives after your graduation. And observerships can only be done after your graduation. So I would suggest you to plan it as soon as possible. Along with that, it's not necessary for you to go to university programs and do your rotations there. Yeah, it's good for networking, but if you cannot afford paying like thousands of dollars to get LORs from there, I would suggest you to have clinical LORs, but clinical LORs should be personalized. If that LOR is defining your characteristics of your personality, how you are as a person, how if you're hardworking, if you can work in a team, if you are a person who takes criticism in a good way. So I think these things, if your LOR is showing that, it doesn't matter if you're even using clinical LORs. Yeah. Yeah, so this is the most important thing that you need to go for. I was lucky enough to find Dr. Mujib Shad during this journey. His encouragement, the way he kept supporting me and believing in me, actually really helped me a lot. Find good mentors. USMLE is a tough journey. It actually, I would say, sucks life out of you. You are just isolated. You are not participating in other activities because of tough exams and tough timings and schedules. You are working on different things at a time. So if you have good mentors and good kind people around, it really becomes really easy for you, and all the opportunities and new doors keeps opening if you have good people around you. So I would suggest you to find good mentors. They really help you. Our SMC alumni is working great. I would like to congratulate Dr. Rahat, Dr. Yunus for arranging this amazing session for you all. And our SMC alumni really helps a lot. And I was lucky enough to find Dr. Mujib Shah during this journey. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time.
Okay, thank you very much, Harim. Any questions from Harim? Sure.
So first of all, congratulations on pre-matching. I wanted to ask that if someone is interested in matching into a university program, an academic program, instead of like a community program, how would they go about that? What should they target during their undergrad and beyond to ensure that?
Yeah, sure. So I would like to share with you that the program where I matched is a university program, and it is one of the best programs in the United States for psychiatry residency. I would suggest you that if you really want to go to, it depends on specialty as well, which specialty you want to go for. But I would suggest you to go and focus more on your research. Start finding mentors earlier in your academic career. In third year or second year, you start working remotely with professors who are working on different projects. Start sending personalized emails to professors from big universities like John Hopkins, Mayo, and they would involve you in the project. And in this way, you'll have people who can vouch for you at the time of your matching, because recommendations matter a lot. If somebody is vouching for you at the time of matching that I know this person and this person is a hardworking person, and the person is humble and kind to be a part of our team, so that is something that matters a lot. So I would suggest you that. Yeah.
Harim, another question.
Yeah, sure.
Congratulations for pre-matching. I just wanted to ask, what made you stand out in order to pre-match?
I would say that it is, I feel humble. I don't know what was the reason. It was a
luck.
I think interviewing skills and communication skills matter a lot. My interview with this program went really well. I tried to stay honest. I tried to stay humble during my interview and answer my questions as honestly. I think there are other things as well that matters a lot. Like your scores, your year of graduation, and if you are actively participating in researches when it comes to university programs. But I think at the end of the day, everyone wants to hire a person who can work with them in a team. They are going to make you part of their team for the next 3 to 4 years. So they want to hire someone who is kind enough, I would say. So I'm not sure what really helped me to stand out. I'm really humbled and honored. But I think these tips I can give you. Yeah.
Great. So being humble, honest are the main characteristics you should have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First of all, congratulations. I want to ask, how many electives did you do to be pre-matched in the process for it?
You would be amazed to know that I had no US clinical experience. I matched without it. And I did only telerotations. That is also a myth that people actually are going to university programs to get clinical experience and stuff done. I had no clinical experience, US clinical experience, but I was working here in Pakistan and I had no gap on my CV. So they want to see if you are actively working. If you are working somewhere and they judge you during the interview if you have clinical skills. They know if you are lying during the interview. They are trained psychologists. They already know. So I did telerotations. Along with that, I had personalized LORs of my interest in the field of psychiatry for years. So yeah, I think that really helped me a lot. Yeah.
Any other question? हरीम से तो पूछ सकते हो यार, इससे क्या डर रहे हो?
I am very interested to know whether the experience you had working at JPMC for the past 3-4 years, did that help you adjusting there, or was that something that made your application stand out, or was that helpful in any way during this process?
Yeah, sure. So I started working with Dr. Iqbal Afridi back in my 4th year. I was so interested in the field of psychiatry. So I would give extra hours to the psychiatry department. I used one LOR from there. Along with that, as I graduated, I started working in Al Khan University Hospital, and I worked with American board certified psychiatrist. So that really matters a lot. So if you have any person who actually did their residency or fellowship from America and they're recently practicing in Pakistan, and if they write LOR for you, personalized LOR, I would say, and they vouch for you, that is something that really matters a lot when it comes to matching. So I think it really helped me. I used LOR of 2 American board certified psychiatrists. Yeah.
Any other question, or we close this session? Now I would request Dr. Yunus, Dr. Taqi Azam, my moderator, Dr. Arif to please come on stage and give ajak to Harim. We'll distribute the certificate at the end of session.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Harim. Great round of applause. Sorry. Great achievement. So she was your role model, and so you can duplicate what she went through. And let's give her. This is Arif Rafi, the president of JSMU. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. We are going to go into the next session now. Perfect. Okay.
Assalamu alaikum. We are just almost concluding the USMLE or American guidance session. Harim did a very good presentation. I just want to let you know that JSMU, with the collaboration of EPNA, which is the Association of Pakistani Physicians in North America, had a very robust program about the mentorship. So we have data of the physicians all across the US who are able to provide you the mentorship. So if you contact through our website, there is a registration form, you fill those registration form and submit to us, then we will assign you some mentor, depends on your area of interest, area where you want to live and all those things. So stay in touch because I think the CME session department of the JSMU, led by Dr. Rahat Naz, has always contact with us. And if any one of you in the third year or fourth year or final year is willing to go any kind of internship or looking for any mentorship program, contact the CME office and they will get hold of us and we will try our best to place you close to whatever you are looking for. So this is just an additional information what the Harim gave to you. And then I will proceed to the England postgraduate training in the England. I have the speaker, which is one of my class fellow, Dr. Suhail Qadri. He is a cardiothoracic surgeon in Castle Hill Hospital, and he is an international trainer for minimal thoracic surgery and also advanced cardiac life support courses. He has an interest in research, teaching, training, and published many publications. He is also the member of Central Committee of the Society of Cardiothoracic Surgeons in the UK, and he is also planning group for the management of lung cancer and mesothelioma projects and research in the UK. He is also the member of the Society of Plastic Surgeons in Pakistan, and he also have several training programs in Pakistan for the plastic surgery. In addition to these things, I don't know how many of you know about the program. In 2018, he signed a contract with the UK universities in which they will provide the 3-year postgraduate surgical training in the UK. This program in Pakistan is with collaboration of the CSP, and several young physicians get benefit of those programs. So this is a paid training program. So he will tell you about these things. Initially, I think we have another speaker, Shazia Zia, who's supposed to give the information about the pleb, but in the last minute, she has some emergency and she is not able to do the presentation. So now Sohail Qadri is going to do the presentation for the information about the entry, how to enter into UK system of education, how you will get the pleb information, and he will also tell you about that paid training program in the UK. So welcome, Dr. Sohail Qadri. You are on, so you can speak.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I'll share my slides.
I'll share my slides.
Okay. And
Ji, Dr. Sohail Qadri.
yes.
Hello, Dr. Sohail Qadri. Yes, we can see your presentation. You can start your presentation.
Okay.
Can you hear me, Dr. Sohail Qadri?
Okay, thanks very much, uh, Rath and Yunus, to asking me to just give us some little bit insight of UK training program. And basically, I don't know if you know, UK has been difficult for a long time for the people to come to the training program until you have been passed PLAB exam, and then you have to go through different programs, but you never be entitled to have a national training program until you are the national. So they used to develop a different training program for the people who come from outside, and after that training program, you cannot be consultant until you become national. So they have to go back. But last few years, the training has been changed completely, and there were lots of opportunities now in UK for the graduates, and not only graduates but also all levels, that you come and they have a training over there, and its competition is open merit. You know, you don't need to be compete separately on your own group. You can compete with everyone, whether national or non-national people. So, so at the moment now in UK, there's a lot of shortage of the doctors. In fact, all the medical professionals, including nursing staff, physiotherapists, and the doctors, and they were struggling with the people now, because what happened since Brexit, lots of Europeans used to come in UK because they're part of the EU. They don't need to do any exam, and they don't need to pass any language exam, and they come and just join it. The registration is straight away, and they start working. And the lots of problem is started at that time because of language barrier and a lot of things. But since the Brexit, these doctor has to go back, and there was no one coming back now from EU until they pass the PLAB and an English exam. And the both exams are very difficult for Europeans because they do not learn English in their normal training. So they have the most shortage now, almost every level, consultant level, registrar level, SHO, house officer, everywhere. You have a short of doctors, and sometimes doctors have to double work or as a locums, and it's still have shortage of A&Es, very short, surgical fields, medical fields, pathology, gynae, everywhere you have a lot of shortage now. The main reason is Brexit, and which is the main issue. It suddenly initiated when the Brexit started. And also, there's lots of retirement now recently, last few years. The pension scheme here, the government have some new rules now. And because of them, they have to pay a lot of taxes on their pension before they get retired. So lots of people get retired early before their normal retirement age. And that's why there's a lot of shortage of senior consultant level now. So a lot of consultant posts open again in almost every field, and not many people coming from outside. Slightly less, lots of legal issues. A lot of people now, especially junior young people, they want to go to GP-ship services. They want to do an exam quickly, get a doctor, in 3-4 years time they get a GP training scheme, and they pass an exam and they start GP practice, which is easy job. And while in the hospital, they work more harder than GP services. That's why a lot of interest and then GP service now. So that's why a lot of hospitals is struggling to getting doctors. And it's a very good opportunity now. I don't know if you know that UK mostly full of Pakistani doctors. A lot of doctor used to go in England as well in America, and very few Indian doctors used to come from India. But recently, it's almost this balance has changed now. A lot of doctors come from India and less doctor from Pakistan now. I don't know the reason is, but there was not as many doctors used to be. And there's also increased workload now in England because of the screening program, because of complexity of the diseases and new diagnostic tools. So work is keep going increasing in time, but there was nothing they can cope with it, and this problem keep going, get worse and worse in time now. So entry pathway in UK now is few now. Used to be old PLAB system that you can exam PLAB and then you can go into the any job, and then through that they have a separate training program and then get through it. But old time, I think PLAB you has to come to England to pass in a PLAB exam, but it's not anymore. Uh, Last year I was interviewing some for a junior post from applied here, and from Lahore, one medical college, 29 people applied from one class who just finished their training. They become doctor just 1 year ago. They all had to pass an PLAB exam, and they all applied for this SHO job in the UK. So imagine lots of people now giving PLAB exam now before they pass their complete their MBBS degree, and they're ready to go and ready to come in England. And now there is an opportunity that you can pass the PLAB exam, you can still apply in from Pakistan and get a job. Only problem happens sometime, this registration and all this thing takes a little bit longer time. So you already exam passed and then registered to UK medical system. You, in that case, you can still get a job from staying in Pakistan. If you not, but sometimes people come over UK, do some little bit attachment, and then they got in the system, and it's very quickly go to system now because a lot of opportunities available in various specialty, various field, various hospitals, and people normally, a lot of people want to go work in the London, but London is not the only center. There are other centers. Better center from London is outside London as well, and there's a lot of opportunity available there. Another program which is CPC started initially a few years ago. Initially, it started from the island because Ireland was struggling with the doctors. So they make an agreement with the Department of Health in Ireland that the junior doctors who they are in the training program in various different any training program in CPSP, if they require a doctor in Ireland, they can go in Ireland for the 2 years before they pass their fellowship exam. And this 2 years is basically is after the first part one, and this 2 years they consider as a part of the training, and after 2 years they have to come back. That's the only condition. They have to come back in Pakistan and they work there, and after they want to go back, they can go back. Second option that you can, after fellowship exam, then you can go back again in any other hospital for another 2 years for any specialized field to further advanced training. And then again, it's for the 2 years only. They have to come back to Pakistan for the 2 years. But while you here in the 2 years or 4 years time in UK, you can pass the PLAB exam over there. You can also apply in a training program. You can got job over there. You can apply for the job as well. And after come back, you spend a few times in Pakistan and you can go back again. Good thing is that you don't need to pass any PLAB exam for this training program. You only pass on English exam for that, either IELTS or OET. But the important thing, you have to be registered with a CPSP, and when it reaches CPSP, CP advertise that job in their website. There's only available place where you can find these jobs for the junior doctors, and then you can go through that. This also have a different help program separately with the help of CPSP or directly as well. I have developed some same sort of through the same program, the direct agreement of the various hospitals directly to the CPSP. So they can come here again under the same circumstances, the same pathway, and they can work here. Like I first group invited just before COVID, and because of COVID, we extend their training program for the 3 years. Some people have 4 years, and most of them they got other training program as well after finishing. So they go into the GP system, some go into the A&E training program, some go in the physical training program, uh, and if any, I think the pathology one go guy in the pathology training program, one guy come back. So that's a lot of opportunity for them as well. So they have a both sides training here and training over there. And if they pass an exam, they also can be option. They can offer a job and you can get a job. If you know, before that, there was no policy that anyone who don't have a passport or nationality can have a proper job in UK. But at present now, for last 5-10 years, I think 5 years now, you don't necessarily any nationality or British passport to get a permanent job in any part of the country. MTI program is also the program run on the similar like a CPSC program, but in that case, people apply directly through the different medical universities in UK, like at Royal Colleges of Physician or surgeons or secretary through them. So they have a training program for them, but for that you have either part MRCP part 1 or any research degree or any master program or high degree qualifications, and they go through their pathway and they find a place and then you offer a job. It normally takes 6 months to a year to go through that pathway, but it is the same pathway, sort of same pathway with the CPSP. But it's again is slightly senior, not senior doctor, but after a couple of years of their internship, they can go into the system. And the various other program we recently started, I started one in my hospital as well for the fellowship program for the senior doctors who pass any specialty like a cardiac or a thoracic exam, and the one in a specific program like I offer a new fellowship program in thoracic surgery, especially minimal invasive thoracic surgery. I'm also a program with the CPSP mutual training program in Peshawar with thoracic surgery again. Last year I was visiting Peshawar, Lahore, Islamabad, and Karachi as well, Aachen. So developing some sort of mutual training program so that doctors can go over there for learn some specific skill, and then come back and then bring some doctor from UK to come here to learn something which is they're not there or something can work together. So they both know how that training program working on both sides and how the doctors have been trained on both sides. Because at the moment, I talked to President CPSP, they're not interested that much hand-on surgery. They are most important for the doctors, especially in Pakistan. They want to know what other areas are to be learned for the doctors to be working in a hospital atmosphere, like a bedside manner, or how the protocols works, how the guideline works, how especially all these things to be learned. And so that sort of sorry. So that sort of program I'm at the moment, some are started, some are in the process now. So training program, as I'm saying, this training program is very open now. Anyone can apply it for any training program, especially from Pakistan as well. But if you can apply from there, it's good if you're available in the UK, because there was a scoring system. The basis of your degrees, your qualifications, what time you pass your exam, and they scored, and it's then have interviewed, which is almost full day session, different some skills and all these things. But any additional degree, additional research program, and it is audit projects, publication, presentation, all these things are very, very helpful to get you into the training program. Here in the UK as well, all the doctors who pass an junior exam, they all do involved in research, audits, writing papers, publication, presentations, because it's very competitive as well, regardless how many opportunities are. You have to have all these things now be done or started doing it before you get into any training program. It's very important that you have been doing all these things when you are into your medical school, when you're doing an internship, or your house job, or whenever in the working in the hospital, carrying all these things is very important skills now to promote yourself in the medical profession. So in conclusion, at the moment now, you have a good opportunities in UK for the training in almost in every field: surgery, cardiothoracic, plastic, neurosurgery. Like in my hospital, we have a specific 2 neurosurgical posts for MIT program, MTI program only. So international people can come over there. We remove the local doctors to apply for that 2 posts. Similarly, I'm doing one on thoracic now. So there are lots of uh, opportunities available, and especially small fields, people thinking small like pathology, oncology, all this special area is so much demand in these fields now. Eye is one of the most highly demanded field in UK now at present, more than GP system. And people don't realize that this small area people think is small is more important than simple general surgery or cardiac surgery or any important neurosurgery type of field. And there's huge demand. And so there are a lot of area people to can come over through the training program. They can directly job from here. They can research program as well. We run lots of research in UK. I do lots of research there. So we have a clinical trials running. You can do a MD, you can do a PhD, you can do research, and the research help you not only open your mind, but also help you to promoting in your specialty all the time. Thank you. That is from me. Any question, please, if you're interested.
So I would like to invite Osama, another of pride of SMC, batch of 2018-19, and he has cleared his PLAB 1 ECFMG. Now he's going to discuss with you what are his future perspective.
Sure.
So can you stay with us, because Osama is a recently experienced graduate of SMC who have training in the UK. So let him present his point of view about the training, and then we will take the questions after this.
Sure.
Yes, Suhail, thank you.
Hello, good morning, everyone. And thank you so much for inviting me, Dr. Rahat. Thank you so much. And yeah, maybe presentation address. The third one. All right, so I'm Dr. Osama Asad Khatri, and I'm graduate of 2018. And I've cleared my PLAB 1 exam, got stuck in PLAB 2, and have some experience in working in NHS back last year. So I'll be discussing about the journey and the pathway for the PLAB. I'm very grateful to Dr. Suhail Qadri. He have given you a lot of insight about the PLAB exam and the pathways to enter the NHS. So NHS is National Health System in the UK. This is the basic system, uniform system around the UK, and it is the single pathway where you have to enter to work as a medical professional. So we'll be starting with this. It seems a little bit complicated. These are all straight lines, but before you enter to any pathway like any USMLE or PLAB, it seems like very haphazard and not too mentored, not too oriented, not too guided. But when you work on it, when you get some little bit guidance, the pathway becomes very much clear. So objective. So how to start your journey, how to plan your journey. These are the very important questions that you come across for any of the pathway. Especially for the PLAB, this is the pathway that you'll opt after your house job, but you need to prepare a bit early. As for USMLE, the earlier you graduate, the more the chances for your match in the US. But for PLAB journey, this is not mandatory, and you can start your PLAB journey at any point of time. So there are some basic requirements for PLAB, like OET exam, and there are some new recent changes that will be implemented from 2024, but the update have not been done yet. For the UK MLA, that PLAB will sooner become UK MLA. And we'll also be discussing about the preparation, the expenses, and the pathway. Since Dr. Qadri have told you about the newer pathways apart from PLAB, and those pathways apart from PLAB would be after your post-graduation or during your post-graduation journey in Pakistan. So again, this is not mandatory for the PLAB pathway or UK pathway that you have to join it very early or sooner, as soon as your graduation. You can opt for the post-graduation qualification in Pakistan, and then you can apply in the multiple programs that are available in UK, especially in the Birmingham or the Dudley Trust. So this would be the pathway. Before we start, how many of you are in the final years or have done your final years? Okay, so a lot of you have, a majority of you are in the final year or have done the final year. So this is the time when you should think about your PLAB journey, and before house job, just focus on your exams, the medical school final year exams, and during your exams, after your exams and during your house job, this would be the peak time when you think for the PLAB journey to start. So you are here when you are in the final years. Now you have two options, either go for the IELTS or the OET. Then during house job, because for the PLAB one, there during last year, there were some uncertainties due to Pakistan Medical Commission or Pakistan PMDC. There were two theories going on for the NLE, and all that stuff was implemented. But now they have just obsolete the NLE, so you won't be required to do the NLE for getting the license. For the PLAB exam, you need license or the complete license to practice in Pakistan. Then you have multiple exams. Two exams are there. PLAB 1, this is the objective structured examination. Then we have PLAB 2, this is OSCE type examination that is equivalent to US clinical skills. Then we have GMC registration. So you'll be starting from IELTS, OET, and then PLAB 1, PLAB 2, and then GMC registration. Oh. As Dr. Suhail Qazi have told you other options, so I'll be covering the basic stuff. After your graduation, that are FY1 and then FY2. There are two posts, FY1 and FY2 in the UK to start your practice in UK. Foundation year 1, this is for particularly for the UK residents who qualify their medical education from there only. And then comes FY2, this is the senior house officer level. It is basically for the house IMGs, and this is all non-training post. And we have training post in UK and then non-training post in the UK. And most of the time people prefer non-training posts because they are less hectic and more frequently available to get, and they require recognized house job and internship in Pakistan. So when you are done with the PLAB 1, this is the basically clinical and the basic medical subjects that you are studying right now or you have done in the final years. So this is pretty straightforward exam that you can just simply go through these resources for the platform that are readily available on the internet. And there are some subscriptions also that you can opt for and get your PLAB 1 done. And then for PLAB 2, this is OSCE type exam that is now more frequently happening in the JSMU in your exams. So PLAB 2 is also a very straightforward exam, and it is like normal OSCE type exam that is assessing your communication skills, your clinical skills, and the examinations. They're basically assessing your ability to work in the UK. Then we have GMC registration that is done after your PLAB 2 journey. But like ECFMG is also very important in the UK pathway also, because you need to verify your degrees and experiences in the Pakistan for the UK also. So this is regarding OET. This is the basic requirement for USMLE also, and the PLAB also. This is English language examination. I'll just quickly go through it. 4 components are there: reading, listening, speaking, writing. Then we'll go through. This is not required. Okay. Okay, so you need to make an account, register it, and give your OET exam or English language exam. This is not a difficult exam, since all of you can speak English very well. And this is the website, how website looks like. You can register it anywhere, and you can give your OET exam anywhere in Pakistan. Then we have, yes, cost of OET. This is very important. This is 587 Australian dollars. And the cost for the UK pathway is much lesser than the US pathway. And yes, there are no internships requirement for the match in the UK. So this is a very good advantage. But for the overall cost for PLAB, costs around more than 20 lakhs at current rates. So when to book your exam? This is really very important. As soon as you graduate, you can book your exam, or during house job, you can book your exam and done with your OET exam. English language is the first requirement for PLAB. So you need to have your English language certificate with you just before your house job or during your house job, so that you can book your PLAB 1 exam, because this is the UK pathway is very structured and very straightforward. So this is just my experience. You prepare for it in the first 2 months of the house job. You give your exam in the 3rd month or the 2nd month, and then get your result in 1 month. And then you can book your PLAB, because there is a lot of saturation, or you can say the competition have been increased in this pathway also. So try to book as early as possible, because you're getting waiting dates for the year now. Then this is PLABs. It will sooner be UK MLA in 2024. But up till now, the updates are the name is changing only. The pattern of exam is not changing yet, but they'll announce if they're changing prior hand. So it has 2 parts: PLAB 1, PLAB 2. PLAB 1 is objective structured BCQ type questions are there, and then PLAB 2 is OSCE exam. So okay. So these are the usual months where you can book your exams. This is old presentation. So usually they take exams in February, May, August, and November. There are 3 centers in Pakistan: Karachi, Lahore, and Islamabad. So book accordingly and try to book earliest date, because there is a lot of competition these days. So before that, you need to set up your GMC account. The GMC website looks like this. and then you need your passport ready for this because that would be your identity card. So this is 240 pounds sterling cost of PLAB 1 and then PLAB 2. So this is the last step, and this is objective structured clinical exam. So this is basically your assessing your communication skills, clinical management skills, interpersonal skills. So either you can self-prepare for it or take an academy for it. There are many famous academies in the UK, and they'll be sooner announced in Pakistan also, so you don't need to worry about this. Is an additional cost to your journey. So the cost of PLAB 2 is, this is the older one, it's now around 950 pounds sterling. So this is after PLAB 2 exam, you have your ECMG verification, account maintenance, and then GMC registration. So during this PLAB pathway, you feel like this is very straightforward, but again, you need your CV to be very strong enough. You need your background to be very strong enough to get your get yourself match in the UK setup, because as I said, the competition have been increased now, and a lot of Indian doctors are there in UK setup. They're promoting their own country, and Pakistanis are also there, but they are now becoming minorities in the UK setup. So I wish all Pakistanis go there and become majority there, because it's feel like a community there. And I'm very thankful to JSMU alumni, UK alumni, that helped me getting an internship there. And my mentor was Dr. Hassan Javed. Actually, he is from the first batch of SMC, and it was 78, I guess. He graduated in 78. So this is very fortunate. I met through Dr. Rahat. I met him through Dr. Rahat, and the alumni is there to help you out. And for the internship purpose, it is also a vital player in your job placement, because when you have NHS experience pre-hand before your exams or during your exams, it would be helpful for your, not only for your exams, but also your clinical skills, your knowledge, and the know-how of the system. Because during interview, they'll ask you if you have done any internship or any experience or any clinical attachment in the UK. They would prefer that person, because they can post you directly in the clinical setup rather than posting you in shadowing someone or some seniors. So they want, due to the shortage, they prefer clinical skills and the clinical attachments there. And this was NLE before PMDC came back. You need your good experience certificates, provisional license, permanent license. Good standing certificate is very necessary for GMC registration. And these are the resources to prepare OET that you can take after this presentation. And these are the resources to prepare for the PLAB. And yes, UKMLA, this will be applied from 2024. And it is up till now, it is similar to PLAB exam. So there are no changes so far, but GMC have said recently that they'll announce if there are any changes. And the cost, again, the cost have been changing recently again and again due to the inflation, the depreciation of the currency. So any questions? All right. Okay.
Is Dr. Sohail still there? Can we go to the gallery mode again?
Yes, I am.
Yes, I am. Okay. So now any students who have a question? Yes. Okay. Yes.
First of all, congratulations on the whole journey that you've been on. And I wanted to ask you, what's the go-to thing that interviewers go for when they're interviewing candidates from, countries like Pakistan and stuff? So I would like to know a bit about that.
So I will ask Sohail, please answer this first, and then Osama can add on your answer.
Could you repeat the question, please?
The question is that what is the requirement for the interviews and how you proceed in interviews when you apply for the internship or positions in UK?
I think for the interview, it's very standard interview. It's not difficult. In fact, it's more easier now. It's just clinical oriented. So basically, if you apply you can apply through NHS job, which is online system. You can if you apply pass the exam in Eastern Pakistan, you can apply from here as well. And now we're also quite happy sometime do an interview online. You don't need to be in UK for the interview if you're not there. So I've interviewed many people from UK online on the Zoom or on different stages, and if they're successful, the only issue what happened now is the process sometimes takes few months, up to 3 months, to get the visa and everything and the turnover. But if you are in the UK already and if they call you for the interview, you're still in the UK option that you can do online, or you go by yourself and interview them. Interviews normally is very simple. It's not complex. We're not testing you, because if we someone shortlisted you for the interview, it means that you are eligible for the job. We just want to see how personal or how much knowledge he has, how is his communication skill. All these things we have to measure in the interview. And if they're successful, normally people are, and they get a job.
Osama, can you add your experience?
So, as Dr. Kadri said, there are job portals for the NHS jobs, and you make your CV there. And since I've said that you need to make your clinical background very strong enough for the job application, like doing research audits and the co-curriculars, these social works, they are the key pointers that the interviewers are looking for. And since you have made your portal and it's a uniform portal around NHS, that is the key. And the interviewers pick you from that based on your experiences and your background and the clinical skills that you have that have been done or assessed in the PAP 2.
Another important factor for the interview, people should know what they have written their CV. And lots of people, they don't remember what they written in the CV. When you ask the questions, so they are really sometimes confused what they written in the CV, what exactly they have done. It's very important they should know your CV from A to Z. And also when they're applying for the job, there are always some documents about essential criteria and desirable criteria. You have to completely fulfill all the essential criteria in your CV. And that's it. Normally we ask the questions through all the essential criteria. And someone has the desirable criteria available as well, so it's extra point for that.
Okay. Is there any other question?
First of all, thank you for this amazing session. I have two questions actually. The first one is, the speaker mentioned that this portfolio needs to be impressive. Can you mention how it can be more impressive? What factors need to be involved in? And secondly, if, for example, in my medical school, if I sit in a supplementary exam, will it affect the process of lab? Thank you.
Any other questions?
Sohail, you want to answer this? There is one more question after this.
I think in the CV you just only mention you pass the exam MBBS. There's no requirement to tell when they pass, how they pass, one time, any year spent in the college. So we just want to know the degree of qualification. In UK, it's quite common. People have a break during their training program for the year and 2 years. So years is not considerable in their training program, in their MBBS degree duration. You just want to know if you pass the exam, and that's the only criteria they're interested in.
Someone you want to add anything?
And yeah, as Dr. Qadri said, there is no particular place where it's mentioned that you have your supplementary exam. So you can just have as many as supplementary exam, but not necessarily you should have. Uh, but you need to pass your exam, and you should have your degree, and that should be certified. Plus, for the CV, it can be made impressive by doing researches, the co-curriculars, the social works, the clinical audits. So these are the basic things that would make you impress, that would make your personality, that will make your CV impressive and much appealing than others.
We will take two more questions. First, you can go.
So Assalamu alaikum. My question is that in your slides you mentioned that to apply for F1, which is foundation year 1, you don't need an internship or a house job, right? So now the biggest advantage of doing that is you save time. But is there any disadvantage of not continuing a house job in Pakistan? And would you recommend students to leave their house job and do FY1 and FY2 there instead of doing their house job here in Pakistan? Thank you.
All right. So FY1 is without house job, and FY2 requires house job in Pakistan. All right. And for FY1, there is some other criteria that requires your English skills to be much more finer than the FY2 criteria. Like you're getting B grades in OET for the FY2, but for the FY1, you need 400 marks in each subtest of the OET exam, or I guess 7.58 grade 8 band in IELTS in all subtests. So this is the thing. And I would not prefer going for the FY1 because it's a little bit complicated and there's a tough competition there, because you're now competing with the IMGs plus the UK nationals. So this is a difficult pathway compared to FY2 that would be much easier and achievable, because you spend time here, you know the clinical skills, and you know the drill here. So you can just apply there.
I will take the last question.
So, Assalamu alaikum. Congratulations, Sama bhai, aapne part 1 clear kar liya. So, I have a question. As you mentioned, you have to have internship programs in UK as to get into the system early. So, aapne koi internship ki thi UK mein? Or how can we get internships in UK, and exactly how much it takes you to get into the system in UK after PLAB 2? These are the two questions from me.
All right. So yes, I have done internship in UK, and as I mentioned, Dr. Hassan Javed, the SMC of batch of 78, from the first batch of SMC. So I've done under his mentorship, and so it is now not requirement. It's better to do some internships there, because it will make your CV stand out among others, because they need some experience or some NHS know-how before getting you into the system. So it would be a plus point for your CV, because they're not assessing you that much thoroughly in the interviews, because you're being assessed based on your CV. And as Dr. Qadri said, you should know about your CV and you know what you have written in that. And if there is any discrepancy in your CV and what you have said in the interview, that would be a negative point, and that would make you somehow blacklisted from the interviews.
You can ask the question.
Assalamu alaikum. I have a combined question for both you and Dr. Harim. First of all, I would like to know, okay, how colorful does our portfolio have to be? Do we need to go for the extracurriculars or do volunteer work to apply for PLAB and USMLE? And secondly, what role does a GPA play? Because if someone does not have a good GPA, can they apply and can they also choose this path?
For the UK, GPA does not matter, but GPA, this is very tricky question, but GPA doesn't matter for the UK path, but it will make you stand out And if you have good GPA, you can just mention it in your CV that you were very keen to, you were very good student during your academics, and you have some strong academics in the background. So it will make your CV stand out. And yes, it somehow matters, and somehow there is some gray area in between.
Okay, we are almost concluding the session, so I will just take the opportunity to explain. The Harim can also explain it. But the thing is that the CV is very important. And whatever you put in the CV, actually you should know about that, what you are putting in, because when you go for the interview, they will look on your CV and they will ask according to your CV. So I will just go back about 14 months ago in the same lecture hall, we did a career guidance seminar over here, which was not attended by as many students as they are today. And during that program, we created a career guidance committee. Dr. Rahat Naz is a chair of that career guidance committee. And both Dr. Harim and Dr. Osama is the product of that career guidance committee. So in the 14 months, at least 2 students of JSMU and JSMU get benefit from those things. So we have a core program in place. When you create your CV, we have people in our committee who can review your CV, and they will lead you what are deficiencies in your CV and how to improve your CVs. So this is the opportunity which we don't had it when we graduated, we did our ECFMG back in 1992 or 91, because we are just coming up, and we have so many bad experience. We did 6 months surgery, 6 months medicine, because that is the norm at that time in the house job. And when we were going over there for the interview, they were asking, well, if you are interested in medicine, why you were doing this surgery? So that these are the things what. So this is the reason when the Harim was telling you that you start prepping in the 3rd grade, what you are looking for, and then you build your CV not on one day, one night you sit and write down all the CV. You build your CV from the 3rd year and gradually build it up, get your references, compile it, and then present it. That is the more important. All your GPAs, these are the things, but your confidence and your CV and your personal statement is very good. When we applied, we write a one personal statement and send to 100 different medical schools for the residency. That is not the way. When you apply, you have to be specific for that institute when you create your personal statement. So these are the things. We have a mentorship program. You create your CV, contact us. We will review your CV. We will also arrange the mock interviews. We are doing that in US. We can do the same thing in the UK. We will prepare you for the interview. So you should know all aspects of it. Harim go through it. Dr. Mujib Shad, guide her. Same thing, Osama, when Osama contacted us, we introduced him to the Qadri and Hassan Javed, and then Osama goes through it. So this is the thing, we have a system in place. We have all the program in place. You have to come up and find out about those things. We are going to organize this thing more formally. We have now the alumni room. We will try to give a syllabus. Whenever you are planning for your future or postgraduate career, we will have all the information. We will create the folder for the America. We will create the folder for the UK. We will create the folder for the Australia. You just have to contact us.
Thank you, Dr. Yunus. Thank you, Dr. Yunus.
So with this, I think I'm going to conclude this career guidance USMLE, but we have another session on Saturday. Come and join us, in which we'll go more detail in the different countries, because there will be the speaker from Australia, speaker from Saudi Arabia, and UK. So please join us and they will give you more elaborate. You cannot learn everything in one session. It is a constant process. So stay on your path, stay in touch with you, and we are here to provide you the guidance what you need. Thank you with this.
Thank you very much. I have an important announcement to make. Wards are off. You're going to get your attendance in this session. Okay? So there's nothing to worry about. So the next, let's go towards the next session. The next session is on psychiatry. And I am thankful to all the speakers. बेटा wards cancel हो गए, आप लोग तशरीफ रख सकते हैं, ठीक? सबके final year तक के. Dr. Zari is informed. Stay here. You will get your attendance. Okay? Please stay here. Can you hear me? Stay here. You can also collect your certificate after this session. Secretary का session हो जाएगा तो आपको तीनों workshop के certificate भी मिल जाएंगे. So kindly stay here. Our next speaker is one of my favorite, meritorious Professor Dr. Muhammad Iqbal Afridi, and he is the favorite of all of us. Adjunct Professor Belair College of Medicine, USA, Chief Editor General of Pakistan. He's the former Dean of JPMC, JSMU, and in various departments, a member of Sindh Mental Health Authority, and he's one of our favorite. Thank you, sir, for coming.
मैं अपनी यूएसबी दे दूं बिस्मिल्लाह रहमान रहीम
सर एक मिनट सैटरडे का सेशन दिखा रहे हैं पूरा
अच्छा ठीक हमारा वो हो रहा है अच्छा इत्तेफाक से ही है हमने पूरा ऑर्गेनाइज किया आई एम द चेयरमैन ऑफ द साइंटिफिक कमेटी दिस प्रोग्राम विल स्टार्ट फ्रॉम टुमारो एंड मुजीब शाह साहब एंड मेनी stalwart of psychiatry will be participating the WPA के प्रेसिडेंट और रॉयल कॉलेज के प्रेसिडेंट सब आ रहे हैं आप सब लोग इनवाइटेड हैं प्रोग्राम
चल रहा है चले
बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम रब्बि इश्रह ली सदरी व यस्सिर ली अमरी वाहलुल उक़दतम मिन लिसानी यफ़क़हू क़ौली सदक़ल्लाहुल अज़ीम ladies and gentlemen first of all I am very thankful to all of you for sparing this time and I am especially thankful to the organizer Madam Rahat and there are many senior people Dr. Mujib Shah and Zafar Sahab and other many people
Maliha
हाँ मलिहा yes अच्छा वो नजर नहीं कैसी अच्छा so I'll be talking about the health well-being and how you can optimize your potential this is very important and अच्छा जरूरी है if you before embarking on my presentation let me clarify it that it should be informal talk so that we can learn from each other experiences so as you all know ये आगे नहीं जा रहा इसको जरा
next slide please next slide please
as you all know that WHO defined health as it's not merely the absence of a disease, but it's complete physical, psychological, and social well-being. अब physical health के there are three components: anatomy, physiology, and biochemistry. यानी जिसामत, उसकी chemistry और उसकी कारकर्दगी. While the social, the component of Dr. Javed Suleiman, welcome, thank you, sir. And the component of social health is the person should be all right in family, in the organization where he's studying or working, and in the community where he's living. While there are three components of the mental component, that's A, B, C. A is affect, B is behavior, and C is cognition. इसको अल्लामा इकबाल ने जो कहा था हम इधर से यकीन मोहकम अमले पे हैं मोहब्बत फातह आलम. So these are three components of mental health. So when WHO defined this health, but when they were given the task to define mental health, they were not able to define it properly, and they just come with this sentence that mental health is broader than lack of mental illness. इसका क्या मतलब है, कितना है? लेकिन luckily World Federation of Mental Health given very good definition that I have translated in Urdu कि ये ऐसी ज़हनी कैफियत का नाम है. It is a state in which each and every individual realizes his or her potential, can cope with daily stresses, can work fruitfully and productively, and can contribute to his or her community. यानी ज़हनी कैफियत ऐसी हालत का नाम है जिसमें इंसान को अपनी सलाहियतों का अंदाजा हो कि मुझ में अच्छाइयाँ क्या हैं उसको उजागर करे, खामियाँ क्या है उस पर काबू पाए, और रोजमर्रा के मसाइल से नंबर आजमा होने की सलाहियत रखता हो. नंबर 3, मुफीद और समरमंद काम करे. यहाँ थोड़ा ट्रांसलेशन में गलत, समरमंद काम करे और अपनी सलाहियतों को बरूई कार लाते हुए माशरे में एक फाल किरदार अदा करे. If somebody is not contributing to his community, organization where he's working and the country, he is not mentally healthy. जब ये कसौटी हम अपने आप पर अप्लाई करें तो many of us may not fulfill this criteria. और जब इंग्लैंड में ये क्राइटेरिया फुलफिल किया तो 13% वर एबल टू से कि हाँ हम एंजॉय कर रहे हैं लाइफ को. द रेस्ट सेट सुबह हो जाती है, शाम हो जाती है, जिंदगी यूं तमाम हो जाती है. तो if you look at the world statistics, there are many, 1 in 4, when the Royal College of Psychiatrists came with a slogan, 1 in family is suffering from mental illness. The Royal Society of the Royal College of General Practitioners objected this. कि इंडिया, पाकिस्तान, बांग्लादेश में तो एक फैमिली में 15 अफराद होते हैं, and they changed the slogan और कहा कि 1 in 4 is having psychiatric problem. अच्छा, if you look at the economy of the country, अब हमारी पाकिस्तान की इकोनॉमी को देखें, उसमें 35% जो है economy is lost as a result of mental illness. That is huge. इसका मतलब ये कि if we improve the mental well-being of the person, where the student should enjoy study and the teacher should enjoy teaching, everybody should work and they should consider work as a worship, work as a therapy, then the economy will automatically improve. अगर हर शख्स अपना काम सही करे तो इकोनॉमी ठीक हो जाएगी. तो उसकी खातर जो है अगर हम देखें कि ज्यादातर नॉन कम्युनिकेबल डिजीज और कम्युनिकेबल डिजीज आर रिलेटेड टू मेंटल इलनेस. अच्छा, मैं टाइम की वजह से जल्दी जो जाऊंगा उसमें. इफ यू लुक एट द डाइट सिलेक्शन, कि जिस तरह से हम ये बाजारी चीजें खाते हैं और ये जंक फूड खाते हैं, दीज आर द सोर्स ऑफ मेनी इलनेसेस इंक्लूडिंग डायबिटीज, हाइपरटेंशन एंड सो ऑन. अच्छा, अब हम आते हैं कि वेलबींग क्या है. द वेलबींग, इट हैज 8 कंपोनेंट. वो 8 कंपोनेंट में बताएं कि इफ यू लुक एट दिस कंपोनेंट, द स्पिरिचुअल कंपोनेंट इज वेरी वीक ऑफ आवर पॉलिटिशियन. अनफॉर्चुनेटली मैं ये बता रहा हूँ कि why, what is the spiritual component means what is the meaning and purpose of life. ये पैसे स्विस अकाउंट में रह जाएंगे, ये खाएंगे कब? वो गोश्त होगा, दांत नहीं होंगे. एंड दे शुड कंसिडर कि यार दूसरों की फलाह के लिए करें. तो उनकी जो है, लेकिन उससे ज्यादा खराब इंटेलेक्चुअल हेल्थ हमारी है. Why? कि we are not selecting. हमारी एबिलिटी टू थिंक क्लियरली एंड गिव रिस्पॉन्सिबल डिसीजन, वोट देते नहीं है सही लोगों को, सही लोग आते नहीं है फ्रंट पे. अभी जो लास्ट टाइम कराची में जो इलेक्शन हुआ, 18% लोगों ने उसमें पार्टिसिपेट किया, विच इज अनफॉर्चुनेट. और शरीफ लोग जो है घर बैठ जाते हैं. तो ये दैट मीन्स वी हैव टू इम्प्रूव आवर इंटेलेक्चुअल कंपोनेंट ऑफ वेलबींग, एंड द अदर थिंग्स आर ऑक्यूपेशनल, एनवायरमेंटल एंड सो ऑन. If you look, we cannot achieve the sustainable goal of development without involving the mental health. जब तक हम इंजन को ठीक नहीं करेंगे, बाकी जो है टंकियों पे खर्च करना, दिल की टंकी जो है, और बाकियों को होगा नहीं. Now, if you look at our country's problem, the corruption, illiteracy, all are related to mental well-being. और हमारी सोच से, हमारे रवैयों से उसका ताल्लुक है. Now coming to how to unlock your potential. अल्लाह ताला ने हर शख्स को कुछ ना कुछ अच्छा दिया होता है. किसी को ताकत गुफ्तार दी है, तो किसी हुस्न अखलाक दिया है, कोई मैथ्स में अच्छा है. तो इस हिसाब से हर शख्स को अल्लाह ने, अगर छिपकलियों को दुनिया से हटाया जाए तो बहुत सारे मसले हों, मच्छर ज्यादा हो जाए. तो ये इंटरलिंक्ड है. तो लिहाजा in order to improve your capabilities and potential, तो नॉलेज एंड क्रिएटिविटी की तरफ आना पड़ेगा. और उसके लिए जो देखा ये गया है कि हम मेंटल कंपोनेंट को अहमियत नहीं देते, विच इज अनफॉर्चुनेट. Now, what are the domain of concern of हमारी ये domain है, concern क्या है? There are 13 domains for which we are really having. सबसे अहम body health है. अगर हम इसको priority पे रखें, तो सबसे अहम बात क्या है? पहले ईमान है. मेरे ख्याल अगली स्लाइड है. ईमान पहले नंबर पे है, फिर सेहत है, फिर इज्जत है, फिर ये डिग्रियां, ओहदे, नंबर और जायदादें. हमारे यहाँ स्टूडेंट सिर्फ नंबरों के पीछे पड़े हुए हैं. द एजुकेशन सिस्टम ऑफ द कई मुल्कों ने चेंज किया कि द स्टूडेंट शुड लर्न हाउ टू रिमेन हैप्पी इंस्टेड ऑफ हैविंग हाई मार्क्स, बिकॉज high IQ is not a guarantee to success. EQ is more important than anything. Now coming to the Maslow model, जो अगर हम फिजियोलॉजिकल नीड देखें, जो रोटी कपड़ा और मकान वाला जो है, उसके बाद में सेफ्टी नीड है, फिर बिलोंगिंग नीड्स है, फिर उसके बाद में यू कैन नॉट अचीव दिस अंटिल एड्रेसिंग दिस थिंग. तो हमारे अभी भी बिजली नहीं है, पानी नहीं है, फलां नहीं है, मकान नहीं है, उसमें उलझे हुए हैं, तो क्रिएटिविटी आएगी नहीं. तो क्रिएटिविटी जब आएगी जब हम ये यकसा तौर पर इसकी डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन हो. नाउ दिस इज अ स्लाइड दैट आई मेड विद हार्ट कि अक्सर लोग कहते हैं कि प्रिवेंशन इज बेटर देन क्योर. यस, इट इज बेटर, बट इट इज नॉट द बेस्ट. अगर आपका बच्चा जो है फेल होने से बच्चे और 33 नंबर लिए तो क्या कमाल किया. यू हैव टू गो एट द ऑप्टिमल, यानी सेहत की मेराज. सेहत की मेराज क्या है? मैक्सिमम पोटेंशियल, यानी दिमाग की कैपेबिलिटी. एक हमारे मुल्क में पराई जुबान अरबी को कुरान शरीफ पूरा सीख जाते हैं. दैट मीन्स द माइंड हैव मेनी कैपेबिलिटीज एंड कैपेसिटी. तो उसको अच्छा करने के लिए सिर्फ वो नहीं है कि प्रिवेंशन, promotion of well-being, promotion of mental health, promotion of health is more important than anything. और इसमें अगर आप देखें कि अगर हम अचीव करें, इंडिविजुअल कंपोनेंट इसमें ज्यादा है, एनवायरमेंटल भी है लेकिन इंडिविजुअल कंपोनेंट ज्यादा है. एंड हियर आई वांट टू डिपिक्ट के IQ is important, but without EQ, which is emotional control, you cannot have success. So therefore, अगर आपके पैर में जूता चुभता हुआ हो या चुभ रही है तो यूजलेस है, चाहे वो डायमंड की हो. So therefore, EQ is more important than anything. Now coming to, there are many potential our brain have, and we are underutilizing that. मैं एक आलम से मिला, उसको 75 लैंग्वेज आती, मुझे खुद 6 लैंग्वेज आती, इंक्लूडिंग सिंधी एंड पश्तो. So everybody has God ने दी है. अब गार्डनर ने कहा कि IQ सिर्फ एक तक हद तक नहीं, कोई कैनेस्थेटिक इंटेलिजेंस की अच्छी है, किसी को अरिथमेटिक की अच्छी है, किसी को स्कॉलिस्टिक है. तो हर शख्स को अल्लाह ताला ने कुछ ना कुछ दिया होता है, एंड वी हैव टू यूटिलाइज देयर पोटेंशियल. और इसको होलिस्टिक अप्रोच के साथ हम देखेंगे क्या होगा. और सबसे अहम बात है कि माइंडफुल नाउ इट इज द साइकियाट्रिस्ट प्रमोट माइंडफुलनेस. ये इस्लाम में पहले था कि आप खुशू वजू के साथ नमाज पढ़ें, इबादत करें, काम को इबादत समझ कर करें. तो इस लिहाज से जिस तरह से फ्रॉइड ने 19th सेंचुरी में इड ईगो सुपर ईगो कहा, लेकिन इससे पहले इस्लाम में था नफ्स अमारा, नफ्स लवामा, नफ्स मुतमा, ये पहले से थे. लेकिन माइंडफुल हो कि अगर आप स्टडी करेंगे कि पढ़ना अजाब नहीं है, ब्लेसिंग है. पढ़ाना अजाब नहीं है, काम करना इबादत है, और काम करना इलाज भी है. गाड़ी चलेगी, यूज इट और लूज इट. इफ यू आर नॉट यूजिंग योर ब्रेन इट विल बी लॉस्ट. और ये हमने व्हेन आई वाज प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ पाकिस्तान साइकियाट्रिक सोसाइटी, WHO के सेक्रेटरी जनरल ने हाथ धोते हुए पानी जाया किया. हमने अपना बनाया कि जब भी आप हाथ धोएं सबसे पहले नियत करें कि मैं सफाई निस्फी ईमान है और इसराफ के तकाजों को मद्देनजर रखते हुए हाथ धोऊंगा, पानी जाया नहीं करूंगा. लिहाजा जब आप नल यहाँ बंद करना है, ये स्टेप डाल दिए हमने. और अब हम जाते हैं कि हाउ टू इम्प्रूव प्रमोट योर मेंटल हेल्थ. इंडिविजुअली आप आधा ईमान तो पाकी पे है, वो भंगियों के लिए छोड़ा. उसके बाद में हुकूक इबादत है, वो अंग्रेजों के लिए छोड़ा. वर्क इज वर्शिप, वो हमने चाइनीज जापानीज के लिए छोड़ा. 90% हम अटेम्प्ट नहीं करते, वो कहते पास हो जाऊंगा. तो लिहाजा इफ यू इम्प्रूव दी गुड लाइफस्टाइल, वक्त पे सोना, उठना, वर्जिश, इबादत, और साथ साथ avoiding rational utilization of mobile and avoiding tobacco use and other things. और collectively क्या करें, हुकूकुल इबाद, बाहमी ताल्लुकात और रवैयों को ठीक करो तो बड़े मसले हल होंगे. मसलन उस्ताद शागिर्द का, सास बहू का, पड़ोसियों का, तो झगड़ा क्या होगा, तो इससे बहुत सारे हमारे जो अदलिया के काम कम हो जाएंगे. अब हम कहते हैं कि किस तरह से करें. सबसे पहले अपनी सोच ठीक करें. सोच के लिए क्या है, जो चाइनीज वर्जन है, इफ वन कैन डू इट यू कैन डू इट. If some can do it, you can do it better. If none can do it, you must do it. और हमारे यहाँ क्या है? If one can do it, let him do it. If some can do it, no need to do it. If none can do it, how can you do it? ये करना, you have to change this. कि हम जब एटॉमिक एनर्जी का जो है वो कर सकते हैं, हमारे जो स्टॉल वार्ड जो साइकेट्रिक और दूसरे फील्ड की पाकिस्तान से बाहर हैं, उरूज पे हैं. तो इस लिहाज से हमें ये चेंज करना चाहिए कि पाकिस्तानियों की हैसियत से हमें बड़ा पोटेंशियल अल्लाह ने दिया है. मैं डेनमार्क में ट्रेनिंग कर रहा था, उन्होंने तो ना अंग्रेजी बोलनी आती है ना लिखना आता है. हमारे लोगों की तो बड़ी जबरदस्त कैपेबिलिटी है. तो उसके लिए क्या है, ये मेरी अगली किताब में आ रहा है कि अपनी नींद का बड़ा ख्याल रखें और वो 9 से लेके 7:30 के दरमियान में 8 घंटे होनी चाहिए. दूसरी ये कि ये टेक्नो स्पीशीज हो गए, बहुत सारे मोबाइल में घुसे हुए, ये भी कम होना चाहिए. तीसरा ये कि ये जंक फूड, ये जो है दिमाग है, ये दिल है, ये फजूल फूड को रिप्लेस करें विद दिस वन. और जो मैंने पहले बताया था कि अपनी सोच को ठीक करें, ईमान पहले नंबर पे, फिर सेहत है, फिर इज्जत है, फिर जो है खुशी है, फिर ये क्रेडेंशियल डिग्रियां और जायदादें हैं. इसको ठीक करना पड़ेगा हमें. और उसके लिए कि स्ट्रेस को खत्म करें, और स्ट्रेस के लिए देयर आर मेनी वेज जिससे आप रिलैक्सेशन टेक्निक्स इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं. वक्त की कमी की वजह से मैं एक्सप्लेन नहीं कर पा रहा हूँ. और फिर ये है कि हेल्दी बॉडी, हेल्दी माइंड मेक अ पर्सन हेल्दी. तो उसके लिए अब आखिरी ये दो स्लाइड हैं कि देयर आर मेनी ड्रग्स वी हैव इन्वेंटेड फॉर ट्यूबरकुलोसिस, एंटीबायोटिक, एंटी टीबी, बट हमारी जो सोसाइटल डिजीज है उसके लिए एंटी जेलेसिमिक ड्रग भी होनी चाहिए, एंटी ग्रेडोसिस ड्रग भी होनी चाहिए, ये भी ठीक होनी चाहिए. तब हम सोच सकते हैं कि ये ठीक होंगे. और इसके लिए हमने ये किया है कि शो पाकिस्तान के नाम से हमने कनाडा के साथ मिलकर प्लान किया है कि स्टूडेंट वेलबींग को इम्प्रूव करें. वेयर द स्टूडेंट शुड एंजॉय स्टडी, द टीचर शुड consider teaching as a blessing rather than burden. और ये जनरल पाकिस्तान साइकेट्रिक सोसाइटी का मैं चीफ एडिटर हूँ, इसमें वर्ल्ड साइकेट्रिक एसोसिएशन के प्रेसिडेंट, और इन्होंने इफ्तिताह किया. 100% फ्री कर दिया है, कोई चार्जेस नहीं है. और ये HEC से, PMDC से रिकग्नाइज है और WHO से. और ये स्लोगन है विद दिस आई विल एंड. अच्छा, आखिरी ये है कि मैंने ये प्रेजेंटेशन दी है प्रेसिडेंट अलवी साहब के सामने कि इन्वेस्ट करें. तो कहला पैसे, मैंने कहा जरूरी नहीं है पैसे इन्वेस्ट करना. अटेंशन, इंटेंशन, एटीट्यूड, एडवोकेसी, अगर आपने एडवोकेसी भी की तो ये भी इन्वेस्टमेंट है इसमें. और ये हमने ज़हनी सेहत को बनाए थे. मेरे ख्याल में टाइम नहीं है. विद दिस आई एंड माय टॉक. यू शुड टेक केयर ऑफ योर ब्रेन एंड हार्ट. इसको बैलेंस में रखना है. लेट्स आइडेंटिफाई, ट्रीट एंड डिजीज बाय ऑल मीन एंड आल्सो प्रमोट मेंटल हेल्थ बाय ऑल लेवल. थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर योर अटेंशन.
Any question and answer? Any question for this? Dr. Amir is going to is the moderator for this session, and he's going to announce the next speaker.
Assalamu alaikum. For the next speaker, I would like to invite Dr. Mujib Shad, graduate of 83, adjunct professor of University of Nevada, Las Vegas, and Touro University, Las Vegas, and residency program director, Valley Health System. And he is the immediate past president of Papana. Dr. Mujib Shad.
This feels like home. I remember this lecture hall. It was not as fancy as it looks today, but there are a lot of memories, happy memories. Okay, do you have my presentation or email? I think we don't have much time, so I'll start. Basically, it's going to be a very informal presentation. The slides are there just for show. Because, I have noticed that when you are paying attention to the slides, you are not able to make your point across as good as you can. And extempore talks are much better than because there is an eye contact, there is more chances for interaction between the audience and the speaker. So basically, it's a very informal talk, and these are very exciting times for psychiatry. I, in my dreams, could not imagine 10, 20 years back. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you a very little kind of history with me when I was starting to go into psychiatry. So when I was thinking about joining psychiatry residency program, I was told by my friends, Mujib, why are you going to psychiatry? It is at the bottom of the pit, Nobody even considers you real physicians, Really, that's the concept, and I still see that. But I said, well, my interest in psychiatry, to tell you frankly, was not in Pakistan. These are much better times for people who are interested in psychiatry, and there's so much communication and information sharing these days that you are very easy to develop interest in psychiatry if you have an aptitude for psychiatry. Yeah, so my response was no. I have done some research as a research fellow before starting the residency so that I can get some recommendation letters and get into psych residency. So that was the time when I actually developed my first exposure to psychiatry and psychiatric research. And at that time, I was so much fascinated by the biological studies going on at that time at the Montefiore Medical Center in Bronx, New York. So I worked hard and I got some really good recommendation letters, and I was able to get into residency. That is exactly the same thing which Harim has told you, that you really have to do your homework before you apply for residency. And I'm not going to go into those details because we can spend all day about some of the tips I can give you to enhance your chances. But so coming back to the story, I said, no, I'm not going to change. And they said, go to neurology if you're interested in brain sciences. I said, no, this is my field. So till this day, it's just unbelievable that I see this interest and excitement in psychiatry. And the American graduates never used to apply. Very, very small proportion of them used to apply in psychiatry residency. But now, just in my town, Las Vegas, there are two medical colleges. One is the osteopathic college, and the other one is the MD, the UNLV Medical School, which is University of Nevada, Las Vegas, and the other one is the Toro Medical University. There are 60 or I think 80 graduates this year from both, almost the same number. And at least 20 to 30 of those from each are interested in psychiatry. I've never seen this. So I thought it will be a very exciting topic to discuss with you, why there is so much interest in psychiatry these days in the United States as well as all over the world, I think. I think there are many, many reasons for that. And I'm going to discuss some positive points about going into psych residency, and then we'll discuss some of the negatives. There are always, there is nothing which is perfect can be perfect in your professional careers, but there are going to be pros and cons of everything. So let's talk about some of the positive aspects. Well, before that, can I have the next slide, please? Sure, I can change. Okay, sorry, thank you. Okay. Just a very brief point that psychiatry is not a new field. It started in Ayurvedic. Actually, India was this region was where the psychiatry actually originated. The very old type of medicine field, which is Ayurvedic, it's Indian origin. So I'm not going to through all this, but this is not something which is new. Everybody knows the mental health and the brain functioning, how important it is to somebody's, functioning and quality of life. So the privileges of being a psychiatrist. And this is conditional. Provided that you have an aptitude, provided that you have an interest, provided that you love people and talking to them and listening to them, those are all preconditions. If you don't have those, then this is not going to work. It will be the extremely boring situation for you, where you interrupt the patient, you don't listen to the patient, and you just want to impose your will and desire on the patient. That's not going to work. But this is if you have meet all those requirements, it's never boring, because you never know what the next day is going to bring in your practice. You are going to see patients. Some of them are going to be depressed. Some of them are going to be anxious. Some of them are going to be psychotic. Some are going to be manic. And as a matter of fact, I remember my attending during my training saying that if you continue to see one type of patients, it becomes extremely boring. There are people who actually mostly see major depressive disorder. Not an easy thing to do, because when you listen to the ruminations and the perseverative thinking from the depressed patients, you actually become a container of those conflicts. And then you yourself feel like drained. And sometimes if you don't seek help, you can become depressed. So that is actually, I'm giving you the negative, but we'll discuss a little bit more. But basically, there's not a single day which is boring in a psychiatrist's life. There will be challenges, there will be disappointments, there will be some happy moments when you really give quality care to your patients and they're thankful to you. So there will be all those things. It's a mixed plate, like any other field. Financial stability is very extremely important these days. And if you look at these numbers, you'll be fascinated that psychiatry has become one of the highest paid specialty among some of the top line specialties in America. And if you look at this is the median wage for a US psychiatrist, which is $249,000 per year. And I'll tell you my personal story that when I was going to University of Nevada, Las Vegas, and I was trying to start a new residency program in Las Vegas, which by the way may start this year. And I'm very hopeful that we get the approval this year. So I may be able to help some of you guys, okay? But I have been residency director in the past, but this is going to be my own program because I built it from the scratch. So basically, if you look at that, my personal experience was that before joining Las Vegas, I had to go through the credentialing process. And you have to get the state license, which takes months, right? So I had some time in between, after I gave up my last job. So I have a California license as well. So I went for a moonlighting job or a locum. They are called locum tenants jobs. So I went there. I worked at a state hospital, and they were paying me $290 per hour. And actually, the rates have gone up now. You can get as much as $30, $35 per hour. So I'm just telling you, sky's the limit. Depending upon what your interests are, where do you want to work? You want to work in an office, you want to have a private practice, and that has a very, very wide range of income. So in terms of financial stability, this is never going to decrease. Why? Because the psychiatric disorders are on the rise. Unfortunately, I'm not too happy about it, but that's a real fact of the life, that the psychiatric disorders, because of the stress and some of the illnesses like COVID has really increased the neuropsychiatric implications of COVID-19. And there are studies are coming out with the long COVID or post-COVID syndrome, which actually we presented a talk at the last JSMU retreat, And I showed some facts about COVID effect on mental health. It's just unbelievable that the studies are now coming out because it's pretty recent, relatively recent, right? So if you look at this, and I've given some state kind of differences, income, state to state differences in psychiatrist income. And so there's a wide range, but sky is the limit. So financial stability is extremely important, and which is actually given by the residency and becoming a psychiatrist. Quality of life. If you ask me which is the single most important factor in a physician's life, is the quality of life. You know, we talk about spirituality, we talk about exercise, we talk about gut flora, we talk about diet, we talk about so many different things, right? And Dr. Afridi gave a very, very good synopsis of everything. But let me tell you, which is the most important thing in your life is your social interactions, your interactions with your loved ones. Not only those, but even walking down the street and looking at somebody with a warm smile, you know, you don't have to talk. Even that is therapeutic. So social interaction, there's nothing more important than social interactions. Always remember that. Prioritize your social interactions, develop some good friends, have some quality of life is directly related with the social interactions. So when you talk about the quality of life, perhaps psychiatry provides one of the best quality of life among all physicians. And you will ask me why? Well, the quality of life has a multifactorial, kind of a factor. So there are many, many factors on which quality of life, but some of the important things are that you have time for your family. You have time to relax. You have time for your friends to interact with them. You have time to enjoy art, music, poetry, you know, if you're that kind of a person. Those are extremely important things in life, as at least for me, because I enjoy all those things, right? So basically, quality of life is that if you become a psychiatrist, you know, a lot of other physicians are actually quite jealous of psychiatrists, because one of the things they say, you don't have to go during the night to the hospital. You just receive the call and tell the emergency physician, admit the patient, I'll see the patient in the morning, right? Because what's going to happen? The patient is going to be supervised, and highly unlikely that the patient is going to commit suicide, right? So you don't have to be in the hospital, and you can go in the morning and make rounds and do whatever medication plans and the management plans you have. So that actually is one big factor, because I am in the trenches. I can tell you how important that is. You get that kind of quality of life, and then you actually basically, if you want to work, you can work from 8 to 5, and you can be home by about 6, you know. But it all depends upon your ambitions, your priorities. You know, my suggestion, we'll talk about that, but I think the time is running out, so let me go fast a little bit here. Life-work balance, for the same reasons, I'm not going to go into detail, but the life-work balance is extremely important, because, you know, money may be a very important thing in life, but it is not everything. I think I just told you, your quality of life, your social interactions, your time for yourself. And believe me, in psychiatry, you will need more time for yourself. Why? Because of the nature of work you do, because of the stress you share with your patients, because of the load and becoming the container, as I said, of the anxieties and conflicts of your patients. Very, very extremely important. And I think there are a lot of psychiatrists who become so busy, they have a 15-minute med check practice. I just hate that. Because psychiatry is all about talking, listening to the patient, but listening to the patient, having empathy, developing a therapeutic alliance with your patient, right? And believe me, if you don't do that, they're not going to listen to you. They won't take any medication you prescribe. And it is true for every field, not just psychiatry. If you develop faith, confidence, and interest in your patient, and they believe you that you really care about them, not just their money, right? Then they are going to listen to you. They will follow. And believe me, this is, I must tell you that the power of brain is above everything. You cannot imagine the power of brain. No treatment can offer that. Power of the brain is that if somebody believes in something, it will happen. Even if you give wrong medication, even if your diagnosis is wrong, and you can convince your patient that you're there to help, and the patient develops confidence in your practice and what you are doing, there's going to be a very high placebo response. We should not call it placebo because placebo is not nocebo. We very commonly say that. Yeah. So those are extremely important things. And I can talk about studies which have been actually done that the patients who had high expectation from the treatment had higher response from placebo as compared to patients who were on narcotic analgesics and they had low expectations. You won't believe it, but this has been documented. So all these things we can spend hours talking about it, right? Okay, so let's move on. There are several opportunities for growth and development, professional relationships. Remember, being a psychiatrist is a privilege. Other specialties and other primary care, the branch of medicine is probably may not like you, but they cannot live without you. Why? Because when it comes to treatment of schizophrenia, when it comes management of suicide or homicide, they run to you. Dr. Shah, can you please help me with this patient? Can you assess the patient's capacity because he wants to leave against medical advice? Can you help us out? Can you do a capacity assessment, for example? Because these days I'm doing a consultation liaison psychiatry. I go to the inpatient units and the other physicians ask me to see patients and help them with the capacity assessment. So they will come. They are extremely uncomfortable in treating psychiatric patients, maybe with the exception of depression, which they actually do not treat very well. I'm sorry to say that. So basically, this is an opportunity for you to create a name or improve the name of psychiatry, because of some practices we actually have not done a very good job in promoting psychiatry because of our practices. I myself to be blamed. Okay, so these are very important things which we have to consider. Drawbacks, of course, there are drawbacks, right? Every field has drawbacks. Time and cost of education is general. It's not just specific for psychiatry. But if you want to do a fellowship after your residency, it may be a 5-year process. And I did a psychopharm fellowship after I completed 3 years of my residency. And I learned a lot about psychopharmacology during that time. But I had to sacrifice 2 years, which actually is not good for if you want financially, if you're motivated financially. That is why people, they complete residency, go out, open their shop and start making money. But do whatever you want to do. But make a good assessment of what you like. What will offer you satisfaction? If you have an inquisitive mind, do some research. Because remember, some other speaker was also talking about research. It opens up your synapses. Your brain works better. Your cognitive level goes to a level where you can never reach without making your brain exercise. Yeah, there is a brain exercise. It is one of the best. It is one of the best method to increase your cognitive abilities. Believe me, the more you work, the more efficient your brain becomes. I'll give you my example. I'm not a smart person, okay, by any means. When I was in this school at this medical college, We used to have a student union. We used to do functions, art shows, even this hall, I remember at this spot, very spot, I was playing organ or a keyboard and was singing with it. And there were people. I cannot imagine, as a matter of fact, this is a moment for me to ponder that one time I was singing here on this stage. And at this time, I'm actually giving a lecture on what are the pros and cons of psychiatry, right? So tell me what, yeah. So I can give you my example, and you can use that. I think one of the things which Harim said about me, I had nothing to do with it. But I can tell you one thing. Harim actually probably didn't talk about that because she doesn't want to, show maybe little narcissism, which is difficult to express sometimes. But I think she is one of the most proactive, one of the most resourceful candidates I have seen. And she developed contacts. She went everywhere. She asked everybody who could help. Please learn from her because, in these times, to get a pre-match offer even before the match is unbelievable. When the American graduates are hurting to get into residency, you should be proud of her because she talk to her, learn from her. Okay. So I think those are some of the things, but this is general. There are times when you'll work with patients who may not find a cure. This is the most disappointing thing which may bother you. Because psychiatric patients, let me tell you, the biggest disappointment maybe for you is that most psychiatric disorders don't cure. Actually, there are a lot of medical illnesses which don't cure, but we talk very frequently about psychiatric shortcomings, right? There's unmet need in every specialty, but psychiatry becomes the target that, people come to you, can you manage, can you put schizophrenia patients in remission? Very difficult. Depressed patients, maybe more likely, right? Bipolar, extremely difficult to treat, right? So don't be disappointed because remember, that imagine if you were not there for that patient, where would the patient would be, right? And it is not all your fault. There are shortcomings in the psychiatric resources for these patients. And remember, believe me, I'm telling you this, you're not one person who can make the biggest difference in a patient life unless there is a community resources and help and different type of treatments available. So don't try to be omnipotent that you can achieve stars always. No, there will be some moments of happiness when you actually a patient gives you a compliment. You have helped me so much. That will be the moment for you to shine and just take it in and motivate yourself for more work. So there are going to be disappointments. Accurate diagnosis is very challenging. Why? Because the DSM, which is the Diagnostic Statistical Manual, is a theoretical book. It is not theoretically based. It is based on epidemiological observational studies. It is not neurobiologically based. That's what I'm trying to say. So, for example, there is a common joke, and Dr. Afridi and I share that, is that there are 4 psychiatrists in a room. They have seen the same patient differently, and each will give a different diagnosis. This is a very common knowledge because the thing is that our diagnostic parameters, and unfortunately, even in the DSM-5, they have not improved, brought in some neurobiological aspects, which we are beginning to know more and more every day. That's very unfortunate. So these are some of the things which you might struggle with. Can be stressful. I just told about you becoming the container for the patient's anxiety and conflicts. And you have to seek help. If you should be able to self-diagnose when you're stressed out and when you need help. Talk to somebody who's experienced. Even if somebody is not experienced, talking to somebody is always a good idea. Why? Because you have a telescopic vision. The others see things around you. And you may not even think about things which other people can tell you. That, oh, you might be missing this, right? So believe me, get supervision, talk to somebody, and that will be helpful. Doctor-patient relationship, extremely important. Psychiatry is a trap. for losing your professional abilities, adopting unprofessional behavior. There are a lot of going to be some attractions. There are going to be some misperceptions, especially with the borderline personality disorder patients. You have to be extremely careful not to fall into that trap. And learn about the transferences, the negative and the positive counter transferences which you might develop with a patient. Especially the projective identification is a psychodynamic aspect of working with borderline personality disorder, because that is a trap. You can lose your license, your ability to practice. There's a prejudice against psychiatrists. Nobody still thinks that we are real physicians. They say you sit on your butt and do nothing. Yeah, I will be blunt. Extremely, I can just tell you that the psychopharmacology, I'm not even talking about psychotherapy here, other aspects of treatment. Just psychopharmacology has expanded so much that the transfer of knowledge from the bench to the bedside has suffered, because the training programs are not addressing the latest developments in psychiatry, which are so exciting. I wish I had time to discuss with you, but maybe someday in future, that there are so many such great advances in psychopharmacological treatments. But for that, you need to know psychopharmacology. So physical dangers, yeah, you can be hurt by patients. There are irritable, aggressive patients who are not in right frame of their mind. So always, I have been attacked many times. Thanks God I didn't get hurt. So these are the negatives. But every field has, yeah. So I'm done. If you have any solo practice, yeah. So all these things, sir. So if you have any questions, I think we can have a panel later on. So who's going to introduce Anju? Okay. Malia has next. Yeah, Amit. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mujib. Next, I would like to invite on the stage one of our dear friend, Dr. Malia Hassan. She is the fellow of American Board of Psychiatry and Neurology, fellow American Board of Addiction Medicine, chairperson, Department of Psychiatry, Good Samaritan Hospital, clinical director, inpatient psychiatry, and clinical director of electroconversion therapy. She is also the past president of JSMU 2022. Welcome on the stage, Dr. Malia.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम। I see people are running around. वापस जा रहे हैं। मेरे ख्याल में अगर मैं होती तो मैं भी निकल चुकी होती अभी तक, but क्योंकि मैं आगे बैठी हूँ इसलिए निकल नहीं सकती इस दफा. We've done that a lot of times when we were in school. So my talk is about opioid. मगर इससे पहले मैं आपको psychiatry के बारे में कुछ बता दूं कि when my first एक्चुअली जेपीएमसी में जब पहली दफा हम 3rd ईयर में साइकियाट्रिक वार्ड में गए तो सबसे पहला हमारा एनकाउंटर था कि हमारा एक क्लासमेट था, वो भागा हुआ चला आ रहा था और उसके पीछे एक स्किज़ोफ्रेनिक पेशेंट जा रहा था. उसके बाद हमने कहा हम साइकियाट्री में नहीं जा सकते, ये ऐसी जगह है कि हम नहीं जाएंगे. बट in the end I ended up in psychiatry. I was gung-ho on surgery and I was the only girl in surgery at that time. मगर उसके बाद अल्लाह ताला ने showed me the way towards psychiatry. So I went towards psychiatry and alhamdulillah have done a lot of good. Raising 4 kids in America and being a psychiatrist is actually gives me a lot of time with the family. So people should consider that. चाहिए advance करने का, let's see. All right. So opioids, they are in sort of an epidemic. Irshad आ गए हैं. Assalamu alaikum Irshad. So opioids has become an epidemic in America. And I'll show you a few slides at the end. Joke will tell you that is actually going to be an epidemic in Pakistan also. Because Pakistan actually is going towards that way. It is the leading place where opioid addiction has become prevalent actually. America में तो हमारे हम लोगों ने with the history, I'll show you that we actually created that, and in I think Pakistan we are creating it also by our fellows giving out Norcos, Oxycontins, and opioid medications to patients. So 90s में it became a lot कि हर pain medication में they had opioids in it, and if now with the crackdown, people are actually not giving as much opioids, and that is creating people towards going towards heroin addiction, towards taking and regular medications, regular drugs जो आपको street पे America में मिल रही हैं, that are being cut by opioids also. So even people taking marijuana over there, which is actually considered legal over there, they are actually using opioids to cut that drug. So it's becoming a huge epidemic. People are dying over there because of that. And I bet you Pakistan mein bhi yahi ho raha hoga. So opioid use disorder, 2.7 million. As I said, mostly हमारे fellow colleagues ने ही mostly ये epidemic बताया था, जो कि अब बहुत बढ़ गया है क्योंकि people are buying off the streets. Nationally, at least 100,000 deaths and fatalities are by opioids in America. 4 out of 5 people who abuse heroin right now are actually users of medications that were prescribed by our fellow colleagues. So Norco hai, Oxycontin hai, different type of opioids जो हम अपने patients को देते हैं, tramadol, वो उनके ऊपर इतना उनको addiction हो गया कि then they have to go to something to get that addiction going. And heroin is the best choice that they could get. As you can see, कि heroin abuse से the graph is going upwards. And different opioids आप देखें in here. There's cocaine also जो pink में है, but it's not going as high as the opioids, and methadone है इसमें, different synthetic or non-synthetic opioids हैं इसमें. Overdose deaths have gone up a lot with any opioid. Heroin hai. I mean, I get to see patients in consultation jo ke they are losing their limbs because IVs, they are putting junk in their IVs, or they have these huge boils jahan pe unhone apne aap ko IV diya, and they have to actually amputate their legs or their arms or their digits because they are using IV heroin. Drug overdose in America in 2021, you can see that there are areas there where a lot of people are dying because वहाँ पे अभी इतनी prevention नहीं हुई है. There's a lot of opportunity in America. What they're doing is कि individual education के साथ-साथ community education भी हो रही है. Physicians की education भी हो रही है. Government has cracked down on it कि ज़्यादा narcotics ना दिए जाएं patients को. Medication assisted therapy is becoming more prevalent over there. People are getting licenses to give out the medications for opioid addiction. Yeah, these are like government slides, what the government is doing right now. It won't concern you too much. But the main thing is that the government is actually cracking down on heroin abuse, as well as narcotic abuse. I'll give you a little bit of overview. I think a lot of people know about this. Opium comes out of the poppy plant. Poppy plants यहाँ पे हमारे northern area में बहुत prevalent है, अफगानिस्तान में है, ईरान में है. So this belt has a lot of poppy sort of industry where heroin is cultivated and sent all over the world. Opioids, what it does, opioids is a term that is used for synthetic and non-synthetic opioids. तो जिसमें endorphins, naturally occurring endorphins हैं, आपकी body में भी हैं endorphins that come out and give you a feeling of goodness. Those are that is the main reason the pathway in your brain is satisfied when people use drugs. So endorphins are released at that time. I mean, most of you know about it because आप लोगों ने first, second year में उसके बारे में पढ़ा होगा. There are a lot of opioid receptors in your brain. There are 5 kinds, which actually people are satisfied when they use heroin or any kind of opioid. These are all opioid receptors, mu receptors, kappa receptors, delta, and most of them are in nucleus accumbens in the brain, and they are in the ventral tegmental area. So when somebody uses opioids, what will happen is the endorphins are released in these areas, which gives that a very good feeling of well-being. So people, that's why they use it. Endogenous response to pain hota hai. Feeling of well-being hoti hai. There's a lot of different effects by narcotics. So gastrointestinal function hota hai, cardiovascular ke upar affect karta hai. So all over the body, opioids do affect. It's not only the brain. Sedation है, analgesia, euphoria है, constipation होता है, opioids है. When people are using, say, narcos वगैरह लोगों को pain के लिए मिलती हैं, they do become very constipated at that time. Of note, fentanyl is really a very potent kind of opioid. Tramadol is a weaker kind of opioid, but we use a lot. एक और नई drug आई है kratom के नाम से, which is actually over the counter in America, which is used a lot, and it is sort of becoming a little bit more of an epidemic because वो भी opioid derivative है, मगर वो over the counter है फिलहाल. Potency morphine is like a pea-size of the same, if you say, quality. But fentanyl, on the other hand, is 1 sesame seed, bilkul chota sa. So the potency of these is varied. It's pea-size se leke grain, or carfentanil, which is the most potent of the opioids, is like 0.5 gram of 0.5 grain of salt. So बहुत ही कम amount उसका becomes very potent. Overdose deaths. I mean, you be doing ER, तो उसमें आपको overdose के जो triad है नजर आएगा कि patient आ रहा है, dizzy, वो है, sedated है, what to do. America में अब ये है कि paramedics use naloxone on any patient who comes and they don't know what the cause is for their sedation. Naloxone is given, which is an anti to the opioids in the field at that time. Acute stages होती है, हर drug की acute stage है जिसमें they've taken a lot of it and then they start withdrawing. So there are now different management styles that people are using. Maintenance therapy है. We have maintenance therapy for alcohol withdrawal. We have maintenance therapy for heroin also. So these are the effects of the opioids. Warning signs आप देख लें, vague history देगा, patient कुछ बताएगा नहीं, there'll be more, नहीं मैं तो ये नहीं कर रहा, आप पूछें कि ये इतने सारे IVs क्यों हैं, आपके क्या हुआ है, नहीं कुछ नहीं, मुझे खून देना था तो मैंने खून दे दिया. But usually try to get a better history for a management. As Dr. Mujib said, the diagnosis should be very accurate. That is for all addictions also. Intoxication में, the difference between intoxication and withdrawal is the pupils. Constricted pupils बिल्कुल होंगे तो acute intoxication होगी, और अगर dilated होंगे pupils तो आप देखिएगा कि that